Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome in today for the final Kenobi Roundtable. We're going to be covering the finale today, and I'm excited. We have our co-hosts, Luke.
Hello, everybody.
And Hereth Productions.
And of course, welcome back, everyone.
I'm still in denial.
Denial about what?
The show ending.
Oh, yeah. As we are all. Today, we're going to be talking about the Kenobi finale. We have a lot of guests coming in to talk about what they loved about the finale and to share their thoughts. And I'm excited to have all these people. There's some people that I've never spoken to before, and I'm excited to interact with them for the first time. So, Luke, Hereth, are we ready to bring in our guests?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get this party started.
All right. Let's bring in the Dyad first. Let's bring in Element and Darthchoco.
Boys.
Hello.
Gentlemen.
Hello.
I was not expecting to be brought in first, so
No, Luke, you did the opposite thing. I said Element, you brought Brandon in, and then I said I said Choco, and then you brought Element.
I'll flip-flop them. There you go. Hey, there you go. Hey.
I got the champion underneath me. Let's go.
All right.
Oh,
It
yeah.
still works.
Yeah. But
Another happy landing.
oh, we're already starting off great. Guys, where can we follow you both on the social medias?
Yeah, I'm Darthchoco on TikTok, Darthchoco on YouTube. Got the High Ground podcast Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, and I am in the Dyad with this handsome gentleman right over there.
You can also find him on Twitter, Darthchoco7. You can find me on TikTok and Twitter at _Element7 _ gang represent. Extra underscore at the end for Instagram, and you can find us on youtube.com/Dyad every Saturday 5 p.m. Pacific.
Always a pleasure talking to you guys. And again, if you guys haven't watched our reaction, these two gentlemen were kind enough to have us on for their finale.
Thank you so much.
Rewatch, and it was awesome. I always love spending time with you guys, and you guys have taught us so much about the community and just like I say always, if it weren't for you guys, the pillars, you guys are the pillars. We're just trying to keep it all together. So
Doing
I
a
just want
damn
to thank
good job.
you. Try to do as best as we can. So thank you.
All right, let's bring in our next guests, which are both members of Open Circle Fleet. Let's bring in Boricuawookie, Camila, and Beth at Mara.j.Skywalker.
Is that okay? Did I bring them in correctly?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Hi
guys.
How's it going?
All right, Camila and Beth, Open Circle Fleet. We'll start with Camila. Where can we find you on the social medias?
You can find me a couple places. You can find me on TikTok. My username is what?
Yeah, like so shy. You just like you
He's
can
a
find
timid.
me.
You can find me a couple places.
I have
LOL.
a social.
I may have a social media, so it's kind of far between,
It's fine. Everything's fine. I texted Beth earlier. I'm a little wobbly because I just rewatched the entire series, and we're just hanging in there. But you can find me a couple places. TikTok at Boricuawookie, which is on below.
Boricuawookie.
No,
yeah,
that
not
was wrong.
Boricuawookie.
You were
Luke.
closer, but it's all good.
I believe it's Boricuawookie.
Boricuawookie, yes, Boricuawookie. And then this is off the rails. Wait, why is it lower? Minimize. But anyway, okay.
You have to show off the awesome shirt.
Yes, directed by Deborah Chow. Yay! Okay, and then I also have a Star Wars narrative podcast. It's called Beings of the Galaxy. You can find it wherever pods are cast, on Instagram, Beings of the Galaxy Pod, and now on Twitter, Beings_pod or podcast. I don't fully remember because it's new. But yeah, Star Wars narrative podcast. A couple of the folks on this episode have actually been in Beings of the Galaxy, so go listen and check them out. And that's me. And then Beth.
Hello. I'm Beth, as everybody has. Oh God, this is
Front and center. Front and center.
Intense being like in the spotlight. It's such a burden. Okay. Sorry, I'm Beth. You can find me. I have 2 social media accounts now. Mara.j.Skywalker on TikTok. And just to shake it up a bit, it's Mara_J.Skywalker on Twitter. That's where you can find me.
I don't have an underscore, but I just wanted to do it.
I mean, you got to do it every time there's someone does.
Yes.
Just
Is this underscore?
Yeah, this is
This is
underscore.
underscore gang.
Since when?
Since
me.
Element.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Element coined
Ooh,
the
Boricuawookie.
underscore gang.
How long have you been holding on to that? How long have you been holding on to
Well, I
that?
started laughing, but I was like, I don't want to interrupt her anymore. She's been interrupted. I'll wait.
Nice.
Oh, I love this. I love that how this is just chaos already, and I love it. All right.
All right,
Thank
our
you guys
next
for being on.
guest. Our next guest. I haven't talked to her in a while, and I'm excited to be able to talk to her today, especially about the Kenobi finale and to hear her thoughts. Let's bring in JJ at CatladyJJ.
Hi,
Hey,
guys.
girl. Hey.
How's it going?
How are
Hey.
you? You ready to
I-
talk some Kenobi?
Yes, and I also want to promote this shirt. You know, Moses
on,
Anger
hold
and
on.
Protection Squad. I should have flipped the camera.
Ooh.
No, you're good. We can see it. It looks
We can see
good.
it.
It looks good.
Nice.
But where
Yes.
can we follow you on the social medias?
Yes, I am mostly on TikTok under CatladyJJ. I do have Instagram account and Twitter. I've been tweeting more lately, so yeah. CatladyJJ37 on Instagram and CatladyJJ on Twitter and CatladyJJ on TikTok.
Awesome. We always love having you on. And real quick, B-Dazzler.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
We always have to do this.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
time
Brooke
for you
Dazzler.
to get some cool shit. From far away factory. She has everything from Marvel, DC, Star Wars. She does custom stuff on her Etsy. She did my Darth Vader Disney bound Air Jordans. They're fantastic. She does a fantastic job. We always love supporting her. Go to the website farawayfactory.com. Help a girl out. She wants to go to London. Help her get there. So
And
that's,
look good doing it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
look good doing it. But we always appreciate Brooke because she comes in and hangs out with us, and she's just a great part of the community. So go support her.
Yep,
Yeah,
we
she
love
makes,
you, Brooke.
She makes my favorite merch. I love it. So
Small
I
shout
love
out
this
for
shirt.
the There Are More of Us sticker she did. for the
Yes.
celebration.
Yes.
Yes,
Always
yes,
my
yes, yes,
shout-out.
yes, yeah.
Always more.
Oh, I have that one. People always ask about it every time I wear my video, and she's out of stock. So I'm sorry.
No, yeah, but thank you, JJ, for coming on. It's been
Thank you.
it's been a while since we've seen you, so
Yeah, oh
I
God.
love having you on as well. So
It's been
yeah.
chaotic last few months, so I appreciate being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Jar?
All right. So our next guest today, he comes from far beyond Earth and over in New Zealand. Let's bring in Star Wars Facts Guy.
King.
I think
King.
you meant
Yeah,
far beyond
King.
Middle-earth.
Well, I don't know about King, but I appreciate the humble welcomes. Super grateful
One
to be
thing I
here
know
today.
is you
Oh,
do
yeah.
like stories.
What? I don't know.
You don't like stories, do you?
Take a shot every time. Take a shot every time a video gets brought up. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, I prefer if we just discuss some PowerPoints today, guys. I don't know if I'm in the mood for it.
How's it going in Middle Earth?
It's going good, actually. It's going real good. Yeah, I guess this is Middle Earth, wrong franchise, but oh well, not a problem at all. But no, I'm super grateful and super stoked to be here today. In my humble opinion, everyone in this call and Cal coming up is a pillar of everything the Star Wars community should be. So thank you to everyone who's here. Super grateful, super hyped.
And
Thank
where
you.
can we follow you on the social medias?
I am on very limited social medias. This is the thing, though. You got to like pay attention to this one. There seems to be some kind of like Mandela effect about this. You can follow me at StarWarsFactguy. I get a lot of people saying Star Wars Facts Guy. Not the case. Drop the
That was
S.
what I said.
Star Wars
Sorry.
Fact Guy. Nope, that wasn't direct. That wasn't direct, promise. But yeah, Star Wars Fact Guy on TikTok is where you can find me. That's where I'm uploading almost every single day. We're discussing facts. We're breaking down themes and characters and stories. And then on Instagram, you can find me as well, StarWarsFactguy.
I think you're getting a merch. When are you going to patent that? You need to do that. You need to make
It's
that.
not patent. It's not patent. It's trademark.
Thank
got
you.
my-
Thank you,
I
Beth.
love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. I got Beth on lock.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, you would have to copy. You'd have to copyright it, and then you would actually have to trademark it. So
Okay,
you could do both.
do that.
All right,
Do that.
I'll
Okay,
DM
very
you
good.
after the podcast, and we can like break down the legals about it.
It's got to be
I'm on
like
it, on
JJ's
it.
shirt, but it just says you don't like stories, do you?
No, it should be,
Great.
no, it should
Take
be,
my
it should
money.
be a screenshot. It should be a screenshot of him and just doing the pointing thing, and,
It just-
and
it
then
just
have
sounds
the
like-
caption below. That would be epic.
Yes.
That would be epic. But thank you so much for coming on and all those kind words. You are also a big positive part of the community, so we appreciate you coming on.
All right, so let's bring in our final guest. As Tate mentioned, we have one great fella, one of my closest friends, and another creator that brings so much positivity to the Star Wars community. Let's bring in Calforrer.
You know, I honestly almost like forgot that I'm also a part of this. I was just enjoying it so hard. I was like, oh yeah, I'm also on. Whoops.
Cal, where can the good people follow you?
I mean, primarily Twitch, but I'm starting, thanks to the prodding and poking from both Element and Choco, to make stuff on TikTok as well. So you can find me at Calforrer on pretty much everything. Primarily Twitch, but also like Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we love having you on, and I cannot wait for Rebels. Just to see you geek out about Rebels. It's just going to be fantastic.
I might.
All right. So we're actually going to start off the show a little differently than usual.
Yes, we have a very special, and I think it'll be a one-time segment, but maybe it'll come back in the future. But Luke, show them what we got in store.
All right, Kenobi, through the memes. We asked all of our guests to send us a meme that best represents what their feelings were throughout the finale. And everybody in the chat definitely feel like we want some participation here as well. So let's get started. Who do we think this is?
That's Cal.
Come on.
I think that's.
Why do I? Yeah, I feel
Or
like that's
Luke.
Beth.
Keep going. Come on, let's go. Let's get it.
Does this also include like our hosts as well?
No.
It's okay.
No,
so it's
the
okay.
host did not. It was only guess.
Yes.
Okay. It's got Beth energy, I'll say that. So
Yeah, are you telling us to continue because we're wrong?
I mean,
Well,
you
no,
know,
I
you go
just
from
wanna
the
see
sad
somebody
Obi-Wan
get it. I
quotes
wanna see
to
somebody
sad
get
Vader
there.
noises. It fits. It tracks.
So everyone in the chat, which guests on the show's meme is that? I think it's Beth, and Ven said it's either Cal or Camila. Beth is the third choice.
I'm going the wild card here.
Okay. I know all the answers, so I'm not gonna give the answers. So
I feel like it's not Beth. And if I'm wrong, then the dyad has been severed between the two of us. And
Camilla, you know it's not. It's not.
I was like, I don't think it's Beth. I think it's either Brandon or Pep.
okay. Are we all done guessing?
I think it's Hereth.
I think it's Brandon.
Hereth
they
isn't
can't be
involved. It's none of the three of us.
I
already
will
said-
say, if we reveal the answers for each one, then we'll all know the last one.
Oh
That's
yeah, that's
true.
true. I guess okay.
True.
I guess that's a good point. Good point. Good point.
Didn't think it through.
Just reveal it all
Well,
at
in
the
the
end.
chat,
then.
the
Oh,
It is JJ. She got it right.
JJ.
Well done.
Well, we're just
Well
gonna
done,
keep
Flophouse.
going. We're
I
just
can't
gonna
bring
keep
myself up to watch New Hope, which I wanted to, but it's just not happening.
No,
I'm
yeah.
not there yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the next meme.
okay, that's got to be Beth. That's got to be Beth, right? Can we all agree?
I
No.
know.
That's Cal. That's 100% Cal.
Damn.
I think it's Beth.
I think it's Camilla.
This is my favorite meme of all time. I'm sorry.
Any other guesses?
And
Any other
honestly,
guesses?
my head was immediately going towards Camilla as well.
Yeah.
All right, and it is Camila. We should be keeping track on how many answers everybody gets right. But I didn't think about this until just now. And Alanis Kuiper helped. She did all of this. I'm not even going to take credit for any of it. She had the great idea of doing this, so that's.
You mean the teacher did the PowerPoint?
Yeah, she put all the memes and did everything.
I didn't realize you could send GIFs. Now I'm really upset.
All right, next one. That's history right there. You understand?
Ooh.
So we got Mr. Adam Sandler from Uncut Gems.
That
That
looks like that's a Tate.
Yeah,
one.
I was gonna say Tate.
Yeah.
That's it's certainly a lore heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where my head's at,
I'll
too.
go with Tate as well.
We're all going with Tate.
Yeah.
No, you're
Yes, I agree. Well, I mean, what can I
Absolutely.
say? You watch that episode and you're like, every single line in that episode is going to be put on a T-shirt until the end of time. It's history. It's history.
Yeah, absolutely. Next one.
Cal.
Okay, that is
Okay. So far we have Beth, Cal, Element,
It's
and
not
Choco remaining. So
It's Cal.
I do not think
Cal.
it's Beth.
This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think it's got Cal energy for sure.
I think it's Cal.
I'll say Cal.
And it is Cal.
Yay.
Nice.
All right, next one.
Oh my god.
Oh,
That's Choco. Choco meme if I've ever seen one.
oh my.
That's got Brandon energy.
I agree.
Everyone in favor that it is Brandon.
I.
Hi.
Aye.
All right. Wow.
Am I really that transparent?
All right, and the next one.
Oh my god.
Bad. That's bad.
Well, we all know.
That's Beth.
That's perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
It is Beth.
The last one's gonna be Pep. There we go.
Yeah. I can hear that, Jim. I can hear it.
And
Oh,
You want to hear it?
Element
You want to hear the GIF?
Do
Or the
it.
GIF?
Do it.
Emotional damage.
But that is it for
Oh.
our little game, everybody. I hope
It's
you all
perfect.
enjoyed that.
was
But
perfect.
we're here to talk about Kenobi. So this episode for everybody, I feel like everybody here, I can collectively say that we are on the end of we absolutely fucking loved it. And anybody that didn't really needs to reevaluate their lives, or we just need a second chance of watching it.
Down to
But
death sticks.
yeah, lay off the death sticks. All right, we don't need that right now. But what is one singular moment from this episode that really hit you where you live? And I'll start with Beth, and then you can jump in.
I mean, are we talking like a line or just like a
Just a moment,
or just
just
a
a moment
moment?
that hit you harder than you thought it would.
I think, in all honesty, I think it's the first time that Obi-Wan sees Anakin and says Anakin's name to his face. That was that's where we have a reaction video, and that's where I lost it. And it was all downhill from there. But I think that was the most emotionally. That just, oh God, I'll never recover from that entire conversation. But because he almost smiles, I slowed down the footage, and he starts to smile. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
We're talking the whole show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
we'll go whole show, but I was thinking more of this episode. But if you want to go whole show, go whole show.
Well,
This is
whole
the finale.
Which
the
I mean,
whole show.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's from this episode.
Yeah.
It is from this episode, but I'm gonna give a shout out to Quinlan was here because that one really, that's for me.
Special treat.
But I think the moment he slashed his mask, and I realized that, the circle was complete. That Kenobi had one side, Ahsoka had the other, and Luke had the whole thing.
Yes.
That was it. That was just like poetry.
It rhymes.
It rhymes.
It does rhyme.
That moment glossed over some asses.
Yes.
Don't make me start picking people. Come on now.
I'll
Don't
go.
be shy. All right, go.
I'm sorry for all of it. That was it. That was
Yeah, that line.
that line is broke
Just
me. Broke me.
Ewan's face during that moment too. Like, my God.
And he's been like acting with his eyes and is emoting completely with his face the entire run. Like not a whole lot of dialogue. Everything is completely emotionally driven. And that line was just like an outburst of like billion things he probably wanted to say. It just summarized in one simple line. And the voice shaking. So yeah, there's no recovery from that one.
Yeah.
For me, it's Riva kneeling in the sand and just weeping and being like, "Have I become him?" And
Oh my
Obi-Wan
God,
being
yeah.
like, "No, you've chosen not to. Who you are now is up to you." And just like
Oh.
that moment has just been running through my head ever since I've seen it, and just the culmination of her character. And I could talk about her all day long.
Yeah.
Because an absolutely phenomenal, interesting, nuanced, developed character that was not pointless to the show Obi-Wan Kenobi, even if her name is not Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Clap back,
There,
clap
that
back,
she is
please.
pointless.
Clap
That
back.
is a pivotal moment in Obi-Wan's arc as well.
You would think, people think supporting characters build the arc of the main character, challenge him and change him. But, God forbid.
It's kind of
really
like
What a concept.
support. Interesting.
Why
supporting
Reva
characters.
angry?
Yeah, and Camila,
That's what they all sound like to me.
That's actually funny that you mentioned up Obi-Wan's pivotal point in his life, because yesterday on our show, our icebreaker was talking about Obi-Wan's pivotal points in his life and during the Clone Wars. So I find that to be very interconnective, I'd say. So that's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
For me, I'm gonna say the echoed from the first episode. You're an Organa in every way,
Oh my God.
and then we
Yeah.
get that mirrored
Cut.
with "He is one of mine." Like, he is mine.
That right there was going to be mine. Was Owen coming and saying, "He is my own."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, Star Wars is so
Oh my God.
so found family so often in every series of it. So having Owen come in with that line, and this kind of just ties into everybody's points, is the facial acting, especially from like the supporting characters. God tier. It's so good in this show.
I get why Deborah Chow said thank you for casting Joel Edgerton.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
no, yeah,
Yes. Good point.
Owen and Baru, especially in this last episode, like we didn't get to see Baru until now, but like
Yeah.
it's like they didn't miss a beat. They didn't miss a beat at all from episode 2 in the dialogue and the way she carries herself. It's very reminiscent of what she does and who she is as a character, thanks to Queen's Hope. I can't speak enough of that excerpt of Baru's and how much it just, oh my goodness, it's so good. Just so
Just
good.
to add on top of what Choco said about that scene in the final episode in particular, it really enhances, like, The Rise of Skywalker jumped up a spot in my ranking because that moment truly changed and recontextualized why Leia connected with Rey instantly.
Yeah. Good point.
No, yeah, you're absolutely
point.
right. You're absolutely right on that. But Tate.
Oh man, it's so tough to say, trying to, cherry pick a favorite moment from a show that's been so full of so many incredible moments. But I think for me, it's a bit of a thing that I enjoy, but my favorite moment from the whole show is right at the end when Obi-Wan shares a laugh with Leia. I truly,
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of grumpy man who hates the journey, finds a moment of happiness throughout the whole ordeal. And I think to have that right at the end of this huge arc for him, this whole, him refining his faith, refining his hope, refining the joy in what he is and his purpose and his mission, and to have that laugh, the little little like tingle of Alec Guinness in that laugh that Ewan said he really wanted to perfect with this performance. I thought that was just the perfect like wrap it up in a bow and close it off. It was that perfect signifying moment that this character, he's reached it. He's reached his point, and he might as well be an entirely new person. He could have Pokemon evolved into Alec Guinness at that point because he had perfectly become Episode 4, A New Hope, Obi-Wan. In that moment, I was just like, this is perfect. This is the happy ending, and I love it. Star Wars is always full of happy endings.
I love like how in contrast that is to how he first was with Leia. Like when they're first on that planet, it's like no one's coming, Leia. This whole thing's like completely gone. To have him go from that being truly the cranky old man to how he is at the end is I mean, you can't help but cry.
And
it's so beautiful.
And Deborah Chow is using colors and lights to basically reflect the entire journey. You know, like you said, with initially with Leia, everything is dark and gloomy, and then at the end, he's wearing his white robes on Alderaan, and it's beautiful and it's bright. It's like signifying hope. So a new hope.
Even on Dyad, all of their scenes were darkened, but all of the neon around it was kind of like this happiness that just fails to pervade in their existence.
Yeah. The moment that absolutely hit me the most was, I'm shocked no one mentioned it, was Obi-Wan and Leia's final goodbye. That was the moment that completely just sidetracked me and hit me hard. And just like the way that like Obi-Wan compares Leia to like Padme and Anakin, and like with Leia's theme playing, it's just like the perfect, like everything just like forms in this one scene, and like no one saw that coming.
Yeah, it's such
Leia's theme always makes me cry.
I know.
Every time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't communicate with her anymore after that, as far as we know. That's what makes it sort of sad and happy. So.
But you guys notice that it started with like a couple beats of Across the Stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like
I was rewatching it today actually, and like that's part of my notes is there's a second where I was like, wait, what song is this in the background? Because I feel like I was like Across the Stars, but no, that's Leia's theme, and I had to rewind it, and I realized I'm like, oh gosh,
it is.
Oh gosh. Ow.
I think on that point though, it's an interesting moment because at the same time, you know, we get in Obi-Wan for the first time able to reflect on not just Padme but Anakin in a really positive light, and reflects on all the good qualities he had in his friend. But at the same time, there's that inherent tragedy there that he is so damaged and disconnected with what happened to his friend that he's not thinking of them as, you know, this Anakin, Vader, same person. He's completely split the two up. So he's like, oh yeah, Anakin, but he doesn't see Anakin in Vader anymore. He sees them as two completely different people. So it's awesome to see him recognize those qualities in Leia, but at the same time, it's like, man, he is absolutely going through the ringer in order to process this. It's a perfect, tragic, happy ending for me, and I love it. It's a great moment.
And it falls perfectly with Alec Guinness' Obi-Wan in New Hope. The way he talks about him to Luke, there's almost a sense of relief that he let go of it a while ago, and he can talk about it in two separate terms, which contextualize that scene in such a beautiful way. That
exactly. Yeah.
I would. Mine's gonna be typical because I'm just that person. It's
okay
going to be
basic.
It's gonna be yeah, exactly. I am that material girl. It's the moment when Vader comes down on the ship shuttle. He sees Obi-Wan, and it's not Obi-Wan from Part 3. It's I know what I must do, and in the dialogue that we see between these two characters, very reminiscent of obviously Twilight of the Apprentice, and also what they say to each other in Revenge of the Sith. And the "Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan?" And then he goes, "I will do what I must," and does the General Kenobi pose. That was just like I have ascended. I've gotten what I wanted. That fight alone. This might be the hottest take. I think it's the greatest lightsaber fight in all of the saga, and I will die on that hill. It's got the emotional weight. The choreography is fantastic, and just what it builds on from what we see later down the line means so much to me. I guess me personally, it was just so yeah. Yes, I'm basic there. Okay, lightsaber go. Exactly. All right. I loved it, but it's not just the fact that they were going boom, boom, boom. It's the story. It's the motion. It's the weight of that fight that meant so much to me. But
also, I think it was the perfect length.
yes.
Like as much as I love Battle of the Heroes, that was a long fight, and then they're swinging on stuff, and like after I don't know, but the thumbnail for the reaction I think is perfect, taken from that moment. Char is a ghost, like he literally he literally turns into the painting The Scream, like that's what he looks like.
Well, took you long enough.
So Char, was that your favorite moment?
Absolutely, yes. It was Qui-Gon appearing at the end.
Oh,
I was unresponsive for a good 5 minutes.
No, he literally got up.
Oh, yeah.
If you rewatch the reaction, he literally gets up, takes off his headphones, doesn't even hear what Qui-Gon is saying. He just goes, "I'm out." Just.
I mean, that's what I was saying. I was like, I can rewatch it again, but it's just like that initial time when you just see Liam Neeson appear on the screen. The last time he's been in live action was in 1999.
You're right.
And The Phantom Menace is my most rewatched movie. It's not my favorite, but I watch it all the time. And just seeing Qui-Gon and his impact in the story, and just it's in Revenge of the Sith. It was like, Qui-Gon Yoda's trying to teach him like how to communicate with him, and we finally see him. It's like, because there was interviews with Liam Neeson saying like, I'm more for the big screen. I'm not about TV shows. And then when he came in, I was always
I think
here,
that was the epitome of like emotional overload for you, where you're just like, nope.
I'm gonna peace out.
Alt F4, I can't do it.
No, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Choco.
That just reminds me of Rosario Dawson's story of being cast as Ahsoka, and then calling her friend because her friend's son loves Ahsoka, and he saw it and it freaked out and it ran away, and didn't get to talk to her by the time he was ready the next day. He was like, "Well, I'm not in makeup anymore. I'm sorry." Like, yeah, that's beautiful.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Just seeing him back in Star Wars is just so overwhelming. And I mean, with the trailer of Tales of the Jedi, it was possible, but we didn't know. But now we do.
This is one of those episodes where it's worth it getting up early, regardless, like, I don't know what plans you have in the morning, just because of the spoilers. I would have hated for this to see it on Twitter in a GIF. I would have hated it. So to experience it like freshly was something else.
Oh my God, yeah.
It was worth it.
It was completely worth it.
It was so worth it. But
it was difficult because it was emotionally. This one was not only, if you're staying up late, it's not only like the physically drained. I was so emotionally drained the next day as well. It was like a duel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But let's get into some of these questions. So we see the impact of Obi-Wan throughout the show, but specifically here in episode 6, we start off with Obi-Wan kind of arcing like, hey, you guys have done so much for us in the last 10 years. It's my turn to do the same. The question is, what type of impact do you think Obi-Wan had on both Roken and Haja? What do you think they both went on to do after the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Rebel Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying Andor, appearance in Andor potentially. There's maybe a Rebel Alliance or leadership role.
Because
one of them is personnel, the other one is equipment like procurement and stuff. I can see them working really well together. Of like, all right, we gotta like schmooze some people. Like, Haja, you're up, and then like, okay, now we need someone who seems trustworthy, at least a little bit.
I can see him going to Alderaan too, Haja. Yeah, with because he had a connection with Leia. He's helped her out. So
Haja is a less entertaining Hondo. Like, if there's profits to be made, so he's gonna do it.
Mix of Han Solo and Hondo.
No, I would agree. I think that's a good comparison, though. Yeah, go ahead, Cal.
I was gonna say, I just really like seeing Haja like start with like this kind of swindly business that was still kind of helping people. kind of just like straight up abandon all of that and be like following the kind of light of a true Jedi and be inspired by it, and kind of by the end of it change tune and really be kind of caring for Leia in his own kind of funny way. But yeah, I legitimately see him being much more involved with like the path and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully we see him in Survivor. That would be pretty cool.
No.
Oh yes.
Also, he's still like ripped under there too. So I want to see like a future project where he's like being like the bumbling Haja, and then like when it's time to get to business, he just like wow. And you're like, oh no.
There's no magnets under here.
Ooh, yeah, that would be a good one.
Beth, Camilla.
Beth?
Oh man, Roken's I'm just getting started. That was such an amazing line. Oh, like that was just the way he delivered it too was such an amazing, hopeful, wonderful line from him. And obviously we know he has, because I love also how he referred to Obi-Wan as general, like the first time we
Yes.
saw him. So we know that he has some sort of military connection. So I mean, clearly, I think that would be an amazing, like Rebel Alliance crossover, and I hope we see him in Andor because he was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
100%.
And then Haja, I just hope we see him anywhere because he's a new character who we haven't seen, I guess, like as far as archetypes, especially in live action. And I just
Right.
think there's so much potential, especially he was so funny in like the Dyad scenes and when he's like, yes, I am the Jedi you're looking for. Like I would love more of that kind of humor. So
No, yeah.
either place they go, I just want to see more of them.
Camilla.
Yeah, agreed. I think it'll be interesting. What I think will be interesting is that like, do they become their own? It feels like the path is like its own kind of rebel cell in a way,
Yeah.
and then is it like Roken then has like his own rebel cell in a way, and then to see them like coming together to eventually join the Rebel Alliance or whatever that looks like. So I'm really excited for that. The fact that like Obi-Wan looked at Roken and was like, you're a leader, like don't stop doing that. And I feel like there are so many just like people in Star Wars who just seeing like all the different leaders and then them just having to keep fighting the fight, and then I think it's just like really beautiful to see the way that again like Obi-Wan by coming back to the Force and coming back into himself is able to like influence people to keep doing good and fighting the fight, even if he like doesn't see it. Like his influence is still so strong and so great into people's lives, even if he's not the one who's actually like leading anymore.
I have a strong feeling that Roken, he's going to appear either on Andor or a different show, and he's going to repeat the line that Obi-Wan told him, there are other ways to fight. So I have a feeling that line is going to make an appearance again because it's so good and it's so true. So that one really stuck out to me.
Tate.
I mean, I think what Camilla said is absolutely perfect, especially when it comes to Haja. You know, the impact that these characters have on each other. Again, so many people are saying, "Oh, Haja, Roken, Tala, Ned B. You know, they're all filler characters. They're all stealing the spotlight from the glorious Ewan and Hayden." But what those characters did for Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan's journey is they imparted little bits of wisdom onto him. And I think what we all did when we're watching the show, we're breaking it down. We're seeing how they affected Obi-Wan. But we've never really had a chance to see what Obi-Wan did to them and how he impacted them.
Right.
Just example, we're in the dark times, as they call it on all the merch and all the toys. The dark times. We're in a time where the Jedi are myth, the Jedi are traitors, they're heretics. And to see Haja, who's a man, he's getting by, he's swindling, he's conning. Just the idea of Obi-Wan being a Jedi, just the idea of Obi-Wan being a Jedi, even if he doesn't believe in himself, even if he's lost hope, the idea of the Jedi and the good that title embodies inspired Haja to be a better person. Even if you don't believe in yourself, the idea of goodness can inspire others. So I think that impact that Haja had on Obi-Wan, helping him to, reflect and be like, I still can have a positive influence. That allowed Obi-Wan to then empower Haja and be like, even though you think you don't have that power, you can influence too. You can also be good. And like JJ said, I kind of thought he was going to show up on Alderaan at the end. I thought it was going to be, Bail, Breya, and then, Haja strolls up and he's like, oh, come on, princess, we got work to do or something.
Yes.
But yeah, I absolutely love Haja. He's definitely one of my favorite supporting characters in the saga, honestly. And with Roken, I mean, we've all said the Andor theories. I would love to see him in Andor or in any
Yes.
capacity. I am a big fan of sitting with the visual dictionaries and just trying to piece together which battalions and which rebel cells all together. So to have Roken in the mix is exciting for me. But I think just, Roken's been fighting such a hard fight and a losing battle. And for Obi-Wan to come and empower him and say, you know what, you're doing great. You have the ability to lead. You have the ability to do it. Go out there and do it. I'm going to give you the chance. Take it. Obi-Wan giving Roken that chance really just empowered him to save more lives and to help more people. And I think at the end of the day, that's what the show is about, is when we empathize and connect with each other and we help each other out and hear each other out, that's when we make positive change and good change and great change. So yeah, those two characters and Obi-Wan interacting, it was a wonderful back and forth the way they influenced each other.
No,
What
yeah,
you just said just
Well
kind of
said.
hit me, especially when you said about if the person doesn't believe in themselves, but they are believed in. Even Obi-Wan being like, hey, you watch Leia, and he's like, I'm not a babysitter, but like he trusted her, knowing how precious she is, and that like elevated him. But we also get the other side of it where we had Tala, which you might be mentioning, but Tala had the same arc as Obi-Wan, but in the past. Like she had a whole arc of what I'm doing is wrong, I need to save and I need to help, and her trust in Obi-Wan is what pushed him forward. And it's just like this whole chain of like, even if you aren't the guy, I'm not the Obi-Wan, but if I can inspire the Obi-Wan, like hell yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And these people and these characters aren't throwaway characters, and let's put some goddamn respect on some of these characters' names. Like and we're gonna get into the next question. One of the biggest supporting characters, Owen Lars.
Oh my god.
Owen is often depicted as being a hard, overbearing parent. From the comics, from the books, from A New Hope.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah, and from a certain point of view, absolutely. After this episode, how do you think the view of Owen it will change, if at all? And how do you view him as a father figure to Luke?
I mean, they live under difficult circumstances. They live on a sand planet. I mean, surrounded by consistent danger. What's he supposed to do? Of course, it's going to harden life, harden person. So, and the fact that he took Luke as his own son, almost like a father figure. I mean, nothing but respect on Beru and Owen at this point. Honestly, no
Can we
slander.
extend this to Beru as well, or is that an upcoming question?
No, yeah. I mean, even Beru. I mean, what does this series do for Beru's character?
Because for me, the line from Beru, "We're enough, you and me."
Oh God, yeah.
And the fact that like she doesn't want to put anyone else in danger, and trusts Owen and herself to handle this, was huge. But then also like this, just a really small subtle detail that I absolutely love is they have flower pots on a desert planet. They're taking the time to take some of the moisture, the thing that they make money off of, to give to these flowers to add life and beauty to this desolate place. And then having just them being like the best parents for Luke as well. And like, I really hope that people do start to kind of take them with that perspective of like, no, they're actually really awesome parents that really love and care about Luke to the nth degree.
And it's almost like they know what they actually have with them. Luke being son of the biggest villain in the galaxy. They were prepared. They were strategizing. They were intelligent, and then they acted immediately in the most effective way. So that was
they care enough about him as just a boy to try and shelter him from the legacy that he's tied to.
Correct.
And like the actual devastation that he's tied to as well. They just want him to have a life where he can be happy. And I think that's just something that you don't see in a lot of parents all the time. Yeah. And it should be. So it's just really refreshing to see in, a show that we love so much that hopefully, people see how good that actually does.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I thought he was. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Beth. Beth, go ahead.
Oh God, no, I was gonna say I think it's actually kind of a fascinating parallel to Obi-Wan himself almost, because obviously there was a lot of fear that, I mean, maybe not so much Leia, but Luke could potentially turn out somewhat like Anakin. And so putting Luke in a more structured environment, which, as we know, Owen comes across as like gruff, but he loves him just like his own, as we saw. But putting Luke in a structured environment produced Luke Skywalker, whereas we have putting Anakin with Obi-Wan produced Vader. And it was such a great contrast to see the difference between the two. And then that leads you to kind of like this what if scenario. But my new headcanon for Owen and Beru is now for in A New Hope, like that they probably, the stormtroopers, whoever was trying to attack them, they knew they weren't going to survive, like the stormtroopers. And so Beru and Owen were probably like, you know what, let's take out all 3 battalions at the same time. And if we have to go out at the same time, that's fine. Like they had complete agency over that because they were so amazing.
Just the way they died in New Hope signifies there was a huge battle. They put up a fight, absolutely. And I am all about break the canon in this case, make them alive somewhere.
Right.
So, anyways, I started blasting them.
That was the greatest thing I've seen.
Oh yeah,
I love that show.
Aunt Beru just like, they're like, oh no, we got this, and she's got shotguns under flower pots and
they were ready.
In the toilet, like, she is a badass, and we need more. I for both of them, such a loving family, and in this case, it's when A New Hope came out, it felt like they were reluctant, like they got saddled with this kid. That's kind of how it played off. But when you watch this, it changes that completely. Beru, like, imagine having a kid dropped off, and it's his nephew, and I don't believe they were even married at that point in time, if I recall correctly.
In Attack of the Clones.
Owen and
Beru.
No, yeah, they weren't married. They
Owen
were dating.
Says that this is my girlfriend, Beru.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's like, here's a baby, and she's like, yep, this is mine. This is my family. This is my house. We're running this. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I love, like, one of my favorite things. And everybody that knows me knows this, is that like the women who are in the background of Star Wars, whenever they're brought to the forefront and given these beautiful stories, it just makes me so happy. And like Beru has one of the reasons why Beru is been like in this episode, everyone is just fawning over this character and loving her and just obsessed with the choices that she made and the words that came out of her mouth and the things that she did, is because there were women involved in Obi-Wan Kenobi, and there were women who were like, this character deserves to be celebrated. This character deserves to be the one who's pulling the blasters out of this hole and tossing it to her husband. And this woman is the one who deserves to have all of these moments in the spotlight. And it's because you have Deborah Chow directing, you have Hannah Friedman in the writer's room, and it's just, whenever we're all here celebrating both of these characters and able to see both of them in such a beautiful way. And that is not in short to the fact that there are women and other voices behind the camera and involved and in these spaces where they have not been for so long. And it's just like, that is something that just makes me so happy. And I love to see the way that like that is just so positively accepted by the fandom. Yes. Women.
In 5 minutes, they contextualized her, gave her personality, an arc, and a female gaze. That was just 5 minutes of screen time. That's all it took. And it's so simple. Put women at a writing table, period. Put a woman at an Ahsoka writing table. That's all I want. I need that. I'm sorry.
No, agreed.
It's so true. It's so simple and so easy. And I think what's funny is you'll get the usual crowd saying they're nonsense, but the fact that so much overwhelming love is going towards Beru from almost every single corner, you kind of got to tap some of those people on the shoulder and be like, hey, do you know why that's the case? It's because there's women in the writing room. And then they're going to go, wait, what? And it's kind of going to wake them up to the fact that this isn't a bad thing, guys. This is a cool thing. You get amazing and exceptional characters. Like, another one I would just like mini sidebar, just bring up Brea Organa. Bray
Mm.
Organa,
Oh,
for the
Mm.
longest time, suffered from having like 2 paragraphs on her Wikipedia page, 2 little paragraphs, and in in Legends
Yes,
was
Amber.
probably 1. But the fact that we got to see even her and just a little bit about her personality, obviously it's been explored in a couple of the novels. I think she featured quite prominently in Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
Yep.
But here, just to see her, full exposure to every type of audience, seeing her personality, how that develops with Leia, how in her own way she is a mother to Leia, and then you juxtapose that with how Beru is a mother
Yes.
to Luke. It's just really awesome to see that different kinds of mothers coming from different places, different backgrounds, are still kicking ass and being amazing in their own ways. It's such a good point, Camila.
Especially
my-
because mothers are always sort of fridged in Star Wars. So we finally get, you know what I mean?
That was my number 4th moment of sobbing uncontrollably during the show was having Leia's mom being, having her approve of the holster. I love it.
Well,
And just-
it only makes sense because in Princess Leia of Alderaan, she finally gets to the trial of her getting to the top of the mountain. And how is she going to instill that in Leia if she's always sheltering her from what she is needing to attain? And I feel like this is a great first step for her in that character arc that we see in that novel. And I can't even put into words how happy I am to see these background characters of women do badass shit.
Yes.
It is just, it's so nice to see. And if the fanboys hate it, I fucking want it. I want it more. I want everything. I want everything in the female gaze now. Just give it to me. I don't care. Like, we've had so much male gaze throughout the industry since the beginning of time. It's time to get the representation that women like so deserve and make it known.
And look at how Deborah Chow is treating the men of the show, Anakin and Obi-Wan as well, through color storytelling, through emotions. Why do those scenes have so much impact? Because she's behind the camera, she's framing them as a woman, and you were experiencing that. So everybody will benefit with minorities, people of color, and women at a writing table because there's room for all of us. So I mean, and the show speaks volumes for it. And like you said, with Beru, there's such a strong visceral reaction to her character for 5 minutes of an arc. It speaks. I mean, it just tells you everything you need to know.
That's how you make non-throwaway characters out of throwaway characters.
That's it.
Getting women writing and directing and filming.
Yeah, I think just the storytelling from the point of view of anyone who has to do both. When we obviously I'm a man, so I can't fully speak on this, but women have to understand how to work, live, and interact in a man's world.
Right.
So they can still tell men's stories because they have to understand it, but they can add their own, which gives us this untold extra volume that we don't get otherwise. Stuff that we don't know. It's an unknown. And it's the same thing with any sort of intersectionality and storytelling, but it's very important.
And people confuse feminine and female gaze, that you have to be a woman to present a feminine gaze. That's not how that works. Feminine gaze just means your character is a subject, not an object. There's agency, and so a lot of people don't get that. They try to simplify these concepts. They're not that simple. So the more layers you add to these storytellings, I think it's a more enjoyable experience. And it has been, at least for me, for this show. I rank it at the top.
Yep. Element, your thoughts on Peru?
I echo everything that has been said, really. Like, there's nothing that I can say that would be eloquently unique to what everyone else has said in this panel. And so I'm just going to cede my time.
Reclaiming my time.
Fantastic.
Oh God. Okay. I love just having. I know there's a lot of people in here, but I love
the conversation's so good.
It's
so
just
good.
so damn good. So kind of going away from Owen and Baru, it's time to get a little crazy.
We're getting into the
Um,
thick of it.
Oh God.
We're getting into the
Oh,
thick of
dear.
it. Okay, so we see Anakin, we see Vader, we see Obi-Wan in this climactic, very heartstring pulling. And Vader, after he gets the mask cut open, we have this very, very well done scene, like JJ was saying, with colors, with Deborah Chow doing the blues and the reds, and just getting these characters, these actors, facial acting, because we all know Hayden Christensen's one of the best body actors out there.
He could win an Emmy for that moment,
I
for
mean,
that speech, honestly.
exact- And the question is, why do you think Vader chose to say he is not Obi-Wan's failure? Especially when he commented earlier that he became Vader due to Obi-Wan's actions in part 3 of the series.
I have a thought on that.
Go ahead, JJ.
In the first episode, I am what you made me. This last episode, I am not your failure. They're both reactive statements to Obi-Wan. Because initially calls him a thing, an object, which is a hurtful thing. So he hurts him right back. What have you become? You're a thing. You're not a person. You're nothing. And then he responds to him, I am what you made me. Filth teaches filth. I love that quote from Sophocles. And then you have the end where his voice is shaken. I am sorry for all of it. And his face is just sort of emoting everything that he's trying to say. And I think and I initially was on the side of, Anakin doesn't want to give him credit for his own creation, but I take that back. I think there was a moment of a split second of old Anakin peeking through to give Obi-Wan maybe a sense of relief, so they can go their separate ways. So
it's a double meaning for me, because I think when he says I am not your failure, that's Anakin peeking through, like JJ said, to forgive Obi-Wan. But, the second half of that sentence coming from Vader is him refusing to believe that what he has become is a failure. And his choice to become Vader was completely in the right, and he is where he needs to be. And it's an acceptance that he is what Obi-Wan made him, but it wasn't a failure. It was a success. He is the most powerful Sith Lord.
I was going to say the
your
same
failure,
Obi-Wan.
So I was going to tag on right now, because obviously the Dyad moment. But yeah, he doesn't. He honestly and truly believes that everyone turned their back on him.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, I am what you made me, but I'm not your failure. This is I chose this. And I go back to the moment on Mustafar where has the Sith eyes, and a tear comes down his cheek.
Yes.
And
my God,
I think that is him mourning and his former Anakin self choosing to be Vader. That is the moment that Vader truly became Vader. It's not when he got put in the suit, right? He chose that moment.
Yeah.
well, and there's flashbacks of him being fully himself without Sith eyes, unaliving children. That was him. It's just Anakin is just under the mask with full of rage and evil. So
I have an entire color coding in my notes that is purely for things that are Anakin committing to this persona of Vader, and that this is one of the big ones, is exactly like Brandon's saying. It's his choice. He's not anybody's failure. He made this choice. He has to be the one who killed Anakin, or the idea of Anakin, because he's so committed to what he's done, this new title. And that's why I think it stings even more when Obi-Wan at the end says, then my friend is truly dead.
Yes.
And just that stinger with goodbye Darth, that's what you wanted, was this title. That's all you are.
There you go.
You got it.
And
a tear rolled down my if you rewatch, that's when I
Yes.
cried.
I was gonna ask, was that a tear or sweat or just a camera playing with you to kind of jot emotions
Very
for you to
specific
interpret?
sweat.
Right down the middle of the cheek. Because somebody was saying he's just sweating from the fight. I'm like, no, it's not that simple.
Beth.
It's fascinating that everybody has a different read on this line. First of all, I have to say, it's absolutely fascinating, which is, again, speaks to the storytelling and speaks to the writing and the fact that and there isn't one correct interpretation over another. And I think that is something that's so cool about the show is it doesn't tell you, it allows you to kind of arrive at your own conclusions. The way I read this line was completely different because I mean, obviously we have heard, I think even Hayden himself said that like that was a piece of Anakin like peeking through and obviously speaking to Obi-Wan and absolving him of his guilt because Anakin knows like via their Force bonds that we have seen that the guilt is the one thing that is keeping Obi-Wan from moving on. So that was his final gift. However, the one thing that I think is fascinating is the fact that when syntactically, because I broke it down syntactically because I'm like a huge nerd, when he says, I am not your failure, that insinuates he's somebody else's failure, which means that he is Anakin Skywalker's failure, or he's basically blaming himself. But the thing that gets to you is when you realize that Vader / Anakin uses his self-hatred and self-loathing to fuel his pain and connection to the dark side.
Yes.
So you have like this triple meaning because he's literally, this is Anakin breaking through Vader, but it is him torturing himself to do so. And then it is also him trying to utilize that to suppress those like feelings of Anakin and try and get back into Vader. So it's such a fascinating layered moment that I don't know if anybody will ever be able to like fully comprehend all the different variations, but that's how that was the moment to me.
I feel like that's what really like separates something being art as opposed to just like a factual statement or like science or something like that. It's like it's not something written in stone. It is something that is beautiful that everybody sees in their own unique way and stuff like that too. And that's that I like that.
Art will evoke different emotions in different people, so it's just how you interpret it.
Camila or Kate?
Art's alive. The way that it adapts based on, we all have our different worldviews, we all have our different perspectives, and thus we're bringing that to the table when we're viewing these conversations. If you lean naturally toward more of a hopeful perspective, naturally then you're going to put that onto characters and interactions. And the same is reverse. But I think for this, it's the moment, like in all roads for Camila lead back to that, what have I become moment, but or have I become him moment. Obi-Wan, one of the themes I think of the show is mercy can defeat an enemy.
Yes.
And
definitely.
It's mercy extended in both ways. It's like if Anakin had never was able to break through and tell Obi-Wan that he's not his failure, Obi-Wan would have never then been able to let go. And I think another thing too that rewatching it, the phrase "forget the past and let go" keeps coming up on and on and on and on throughout the entire series. And so Obi-Wan needed to hear that, not to forget the past, but to be able to let go of it and then to be able to move forward.
Like the Last Jedi. Sorry.
Exactly. And then he's then able to then tell Reva when she's struggling to tell her that moment, because he's learned that lesson from Anakin, because Anakin's broken through and extended that to Obi-Wan. And so then Obi-Wan's able to go and give that to Reva. And who knows, in the future, Reva might then be able to give that to somebody else. And it's the way that, like, as you're talking earlier, that like everything is connected and everything is like changing. And it's like the way that these characters, like we talk about the Force, like connecting all living things, but it's the way that like also these characters' interactions with each other shape them. And if one person makes a choice to do this, it could change the entire galaxy at the end of this day.
Can I add on to yours, because you're talking about Reva and that moment? If you juxtapose that with Vader and Sidious, one is being freed, the other one is being tightened by a chain. So to
100%.
me, it was a beautiful juxtaposing moment towards the end where two stories are basically happening at the same time. They're going in a completely different direction. Freedom versus control. So
Oh, yeah.
And you also like piqued another thing in my brain of what is said to Emery in the High Republic, that the dark side it's a series of decisions, right? It's not one mistake, it's not one. And for Vader to say, I killed Anakin, but on the other hand, Reva, who this wasn't her decision, this is stuff that happened to her. She could make a better choice. Vader is saying, I have made my choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
No, yeah, and it harkens back to Twilight of the Apprentice.
Yeah.
Very much so. And obviously Hayden had watched that arc before his performance, and you can clearly see it. And it's just so great. Tate, your thoughts?
How do you follow up after such amazing answers? I feel like I've been sitting in the writer's room for the past 10 or so minutes. It's, again, like it's been brought up, I can't pinpoint who said it, but you all basically did. But, you know, it's such a complex and beautiful piece of media in general. Forget Star Wars, it's just such a beautiful story. And the fact that we're able to unpack it and approach it in different ways is wonderful. For me, I always found, obviously this is very interpretive, but Anakin, in doing what he did in order to get his power, and because of his fear, and because of his series of bad decisions, aka one youngling after the other, I feel that Anakin always kind of felt like he was trapped. And he was so deep in the hole that he thought, I have no way out. I might as well keep going down to see if there's anything there for me. And him saying that line that he's not Obi-Wan's failure, that Obi-Wan didn't kill him, that he did, it's honesty. I think there's a part of Anakin that's always trying to reach out and empathize and connect, that wants to kind of be heard. But at the same time, there's a mask over him. And I think about that scene a lot. And well, obviously, we're giving this beautifully constructed scene where, you know, the mask is slashed and it's a blend of voices. But I'm thinking, take the mask away, take the armor, see Anakin for Anakin, and hear what he's saying. What is being said then when we take out the mask, when we take out the filtering? And to me, it feels like a man kind of crying out for help in a way. He's being dead honest with Obi-Wan in that moment. He's saying, he's like, I killed Anakin. And that's the truth. And he does his evil smile because it's that constant wrestle of the light and dark and the beautiful display of colors. But that moment made me think a lot of what he says to Luke in Return of the Jedi, where he says, it is too late for me, my son. He's made his bed at that point, and every time he tries to reach out and empathize and connect, the dark pulls him really strongly. And it's like Pep said earlier with the whole symbolism of the mask. You know, Ahsoka got the one side, Obi-Wan got the other side. He hasn't been able to reach out and find that connection that brings him back to the light until Luke. So for me, that line, it just amplified so many other moments, and Vader, Anakin's whole story, just put that to another level because of that line. It really just spoke to this man who is so trapped in his way and is clawing for a way out. And eventually we know he finds it, but this wasn't the moment. And that's the tragedy of it.
Yeah. Speaking of moments, goes into the next. It's just perfect. It works.
I got you, man. I got you.
What moment of this rematch did you find most powerful? Is it the mask, the damaged mask? Is
Don't
it
read the question?
What?
Don't read the question.
Answer your question, Bucko.
I know. I'm just here. Go ahead. Go. Take it away.
Yeah. The entire thing.
Just gonna echo what Tate said. There's so many moments to kind of reduce it down to one is a very difficult task. But I guess the one that really like elicited the most reaction from me was the moment when Obi-Wan was free, because so many things happened. You know, he was weighed down by all of his failures and his loss, but then he overcame it and became free. But in that moment of his freedom, he switched to Ataru and emulated Qui-Gon. which was such a powerful moment for me to realize that the first fight he was hesitant. The first fight he couldn't fight Anakin, and he was using Sarisu. And in this fight, he had truly accepted that his friend was dead and that he had to do what he had to do. And when he switched to Qui-Gon's form, everything went downhill for Vader.
Quickly.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more at stake for Obi-Wan at that point too. You know what I mean? With Leia existing in the world and Luke too, everything was at stake. So, and he fought for them ultimately, and it showed.
And that's why the question that the question that Luke asks
That's
in
it, Carrie.
Empire is the dark side stronger? No, it's quicker to serve you in a fight, but it's not stronger. And to quote Van Skywalker, that's why we got to see Obi-Wan go unhinged space Jesus on us. We've never seen Obi-Wan pull off stuff this powerful, but you know, a Jedi is at their most strength when they're helping others, when they are at peace and passive, when he let go of all of the bad and all the negative. You know, the light is stronger, but it's more it's easy. It's so easy to fall into that dark path and like think about all the things that have gone wrong and your mistakes and what other people owe you. But he was able to focus on that hope and that light of the two kids and just mollywopped them at that point. And you're like, damn.
You know that dumb meme with Obi-Wan in The New Hope with the guns in the background that somebody did? It felt like that came true with the rocks. Somebody put it side to side. I was like, oh, well, at least it's not the guns. But yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, well, in the wise words of Luke Skywalker, it's not about lifting rocks. It's about throwing rocks.
Yeah, no. It is a hard question to answer. Like Pep said, it is. To just get one moment is so tough. But I am asking you guys to do it. So, no, yeah. Who's next?
I mean, I kind of like what Char said about, the Lost Jedi reference, of course, is a wonderful thing. It's a video I've made and deleted about 3 different times now because I struggle to articulate it. But, like, obviously we saw Obi-Wan lift the rocks, which was a powerful moment for me. First of all, I was like, shit, Reddit's going to eat this moment up. God help us all. Yeah. But beyond that, obviously we see, like, Jedi lifting rocks. Our first instinct is like, Rey did the same thing. That's cool. Then I got to think, okay, as a filmmaker, why is Obi-Wan doing that? What is the intention of having Obi-Wan lift rocks and getting the audience to think, Rey did the same thing? You don't do that just, to make a cool video about it. There's a reason behind it. And I'm thinking, is there some kind of message in Rey lifting the rocks defensively and Obi-Wan lifting the rocks and literally throwing them at Vader like he's playing some extreme dodgeball? And I mean, he sucked at the game, very much so, but I feel like that moment kind of spoke to me. It got me thinking the most, definitely. I'm like, Obi-Wan in that moment, I kind of feel like he was going in for the kill in many ways. And I don't know if I'm reading that wrong or whatnot, but he said he will do what he must. And I think at that point, he was doing what he thought he must do. But what comes right after that is the slash and the face reveal. And then going from that, I'm going to throw a mountain at you, to holy shit, that's my friend.
And he's apologizing.
Exactly. I think that's the real shift in the duel. That just is, every duel in Star Wars and in most mythic stories, the fight is not about the spectacle, it's about the story behind the fight. Yes. And that was really the climax of that story, of him being like, I will do what I must. Wait a minute, I'm forgetting what I am, and I'm not the kind of guy that goes out and does that. Again, mercy, beautiful theme for the show.
Mercy. I will do what I must to. I am sorry for it all. It's just beautiful.
Cal?
Man, it is truly impossible to pick like a specific moment. I did enjoy that they held hands for almost 5 seconds. That was pretty nice. No, but Honestly, for me, I think what really resonated with me the most was I've always kind of been like on the side of Jedi and stuff like that for forever, and I always have all of the friends be like, "Man, no, like." Spout all the random propaganda and stuff like that, like anti-Jedi stuff. And I've always been like, no, you know what? Like, it might not be the quick and easy path, but like, there is still like potency to it and stuff like that. And to see the literal new hope of Leia and Luke kind of bring out just the raw power that we don't ever really see a Jedi do in anything live action, really. It just hit me really hard. I was like, yeah, you know what? Jedi are awesome. Like they are, like sure everybody wants to like shoot lightning out of their hands and stuff like that, but it's like, you know what? Like, no. It isn't just about the power of it, and like you can still I don't know, it's kind of abstract, but it was nice to see a Jedi hold their own in that sense, because a lot of times you always get people being like, yeah, you can be all self-sacrificing Jedi or whatever, but I'm just going to zap you with lightning and stuff like that, and you're going to die. And it's like, all right, well, there's clearly no discussion to be had here, but it was nice to have that moment of like vindication of like, aha, it isn't just about, lifting rocks. It's about throwing rocks too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing to try and explain, but for me that was a moment that, like, I don't know. I always feel like the poetry of a Jedi is always at their strongest when fighting for something or someone.
Yeah.
That's just really potent to me. So to get to kind of see that in a show with one of my favorite characters is like, yep.
Yeah.
Is that where Kylo got the more?
Yeah. Right here.
There's a reason why it's named Ben.
You think you got
Oh
it?
God, yeah, that.
Camilla or Beth?
So,
We're not the same.
are we literally thinking? We're thinking the same thing because it came into my thought out of my head out of nowhere.
Dyad moment.
So
Yeah.
I was like, as we were all talking about Obi-Wan using the rocks, and I was like, this feels so uncharacteristically Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Like, I've never seen him using this kind of power. And my immediate thought was, is this Obi-Wan using the light side of the Force, or is this Obi-Wan fueling his anger completely as he's going for the kill? And it's not until he sees Anakin and is like, oh no, I was like giving into my anger and becoming the very thing I swore to destroy. And like going to kill, because he's not seeing Anakin anymore. He's just seeing Vader, and his anger of like when he sees the kids, Luke and Leia, and comes out, and then he goes in for the kill. And it's like, I just feel like he's completely like, I have to protect them. I have to do all costs to save them. And it's like, Anakin, I have to do all costs to save Padme and do exactly what I have to. And it's like Obi-Wan going down that road and nearing that and using his anger. And then he sees Anakin, and it's like, oh no,
that's what happens if I do go that.
He says,
go down
Anakin,
that path.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm sorry. And now he's like, realizing it's like an awakening. It's also like Luke in The Last Jedi going to kill Kylo
Ren, yes.
And then being like, oh no, this isn't the way to do it. And it's the idea of like, not only is going down the dark side a series of choices, choosing the light is like choosing the light over and over and over and over again. And it's Anakin, seeing Anakin, Obi-Wan is then able to stop, choose the light. Anakin then gives him that mercy of, I'm not your failure. And then Obi-Wan can then not kill Vader, not kill Anakin, and move forward and choose the light again and again, because the Jedi is supposed to defend life, not take it. And so I think the rocks, and I'll let Beth continue, but I was like, I don't think he's using the light side of the Force. I feel like he's using the dark side of the Force, or like, I don't know the like lore of the Force, but it feels like dark.
Beth, take it away.
Yeah, Camila and I were on the exact same wavelength about this. It reminded me so much of Lone Wolf. It's like this Legends of Ella, a tale of Obi-Wan and Luke, but it goes through how, and I'm not saying that like this happened in the moment, because we do see that it is his love for the twins that is able to reconnect him with the Force. Which also is such a beautiful parallel, because it's Vader's love for Luke that redeems him and reconnects him to the Force as well. So it's like the twins end up saving both of them. It's just there's a lot there. But as far as that, it seemed it was very uncharacteristic, and I feel like it was driven out of like fear, kind of, as Camilla said, like as opposed to like hate or anger. It was like, I have to protect these two. I have to do everything. And it's interesting because after he does the rocks, and I had to like scrub through it really quickly. That's when they have a little hand holding moment, but it's actually the exact same move that Anakin does in the flashback, which is really a memory in the previous episode, except this time Obi-Wan doesn't let go. Like when he reaches out, and because in the previous episode for the flashback, Anakin flashes down, Obi-Wan grabs his arm and then like elbows him in the back and grabs his lightsaber. But this time Vader flashes down, Obi-Wan grabs his arm and turns around and holds it and doesn't let go. And I was like, okay, first of all, this is like beautiful imagery. Like, second of all, snaps from my like Force bond right there. But third of all, it is kind of aggressive, because then he's like, the next thing he does is he's like right into his, his heart, literally. He starts to take him out. And I think that in that moment, it's very aggressive. It's very not Obi-Wan. And in that moment of when he finally sees Anakin's face, it is like this sense, it goes from like horror to this like, it's literally like a moment of clarification and relief. And then also it's so tragic because he does start to like almost smile, because it's like, oh my God, this is my best friend. This is my brother again. And I feel like that is so crucial, because we do know that Obi-Wan has had some like darker moments, and it's in there. Not that he would turn to the dark side, but
right.
Like obviously after Satine's death in Kenobi's shadow, he's like, I will kill everyone in this throne room, like, and I will turn to the dark side. I'm so angry. But it was really interesting to see that aspect, but know that it's fear driven and it is out of love. But I love the fact that it really is him learning how to kind of manage that love. Because I also think that's like kind of the first time he's let himself really be overwhelmed with that kind of feeling.
Yeah, because
I think we might be talking about the same thing though, because rather than it being like darker, it's absolutely way more aggressive. But that's what the Ataru form that Qui-Gon and Yoda both use are.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think it's possible we might be looking at the same thing.
For me too, I think like that wasn't the moment of him going in for the kill. For me, the moment for him going in for the kill was even being there to begin with, ready with his robe off, and already coming to terms with it being like, one of us is going to die here.
Yeah.
And so he was already going for the kill, but with the weight of his failures on him, he wasn't strong enough to really fight, which is why he kind of got mollywopped at the beginning, but then having the renewed hope and kind of letting his own failures go and fighting for the future with the hope, that's when he became like supercharged enough to realize that, you know what, I don't even want to go in for the kill at all. This is my friend. Even if they are truly dead, I can't bring myself to do it. And it was with that closure of that my friend is truly dead, goodbye Darth, that he just was like, I'm over it. I'm done. I am now free. I've made my choice. And that echoes with Reva later.
Let me piggyback off of Beth earlier, because she's comparing the scenes in the flashback versus the final duel, how they mirror each other. It's one example of fan service serving the story in the end with the payoff. So especially when they're back to back, when their backs are like, turned against each other, literally a same moment. And I was like, yeah, we saw that already. And it's just something that paid off in the end in that duel. So
I think,
can we just take a moment to acknowledge Darth Vader shattering the ground?
Oh yeah.
Earthbending.
That was crazy.
I haven't done it yet, but in my review video, I'm gonna put in Samuel Jackson in the Avengers movie of like, he means to bear you like the pharaohs of old.
But Element.
Well, I think Obi-Wan's intentions can be read in multiple ways, and thus creates a conundrum of answering the lore question, right? Because we do have forms that are more aggressive than others, and we have the very example of Vapad, which, under the scrutiny of the Jedi Order, aligns with the light side of the Force, and it gives us this kind of look into what does it mean to use your emotions and still stay on the light. And the interpretation of that is that as long as it is not controlling you, and in this case, we have to interpret whether or not Obi-Wan is being controlled by those emotions, or if his emotions are heightened because of his purpose and his newfound hope. So it's interesting to kind of find the answer of whether or not he kind of straddled the line to the dark side, or if he was kind of like edge casing it like Vapad, like he was like tapping into those heightened emotions, but was still staying on the light side. And I think for me, at least the way I interpret it, him being able to stop himself after cracking the mask was kind of indicative of the fact that he was still in control.
That makes sense.
More than that, he had the opportunity to kill him when he was bashing the chest piece of his suit. He could have used the other end of the lightsaber and been done. But true courage isn't about knowing when to take life, but when to spare one.
Exactly.
And Reva is the one that asks him in previous episode, "Are you willing to kill your friend?" And he sort of looks down. So that sort of kind of indicates later on his decision, his choice.
He never answers.
No, he doesn't. But speaking of Reva, JJ, great, like the way you did that perfectly. Obi-Wan obviously defeats Vader. We have those moments. We've been flashing back and forth between Reva and Obi-Wan. Reva is going after Luke. And I don't necessarily think she knows why, but she knocks Luke out. She catches up to him, and she goes to kill him. And we see flashes. We see her make the decision that she makes, right? She brings Luke back to both Owen Beru and now Obi-Wan, who had beaten Bail, by the way, to Tatooine. The question really is, they have this conversation, him and Reva. Do you think that Obi-Wan always believed in redemption for Reva? And what does her revelation at the end of the episode say about her character and any possible next phases for her?
I volunteer Camila to answer.
Yeah, Camila, go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I froze, so I didn't hear. Got it.
Camila, you are the chosen one.
Here.
Took you long enough.
Literally. I don't know if you can say that Obi-Wan always believed in redemption for Reva, because I don't think he was thinking about first of all, I don't think he was like really thinking about her. Or she like outside of like, this chick is hunting me, like gotta run and like protect Leia. So I don't think he's like thinking about that until he hears her intentions. And then I think he's able to see her in a different way, and able to empathize or sympathize with her a little bit more. However, I said it earlier, it's not until Anakin tells Obi-Wan that he's not his failure that Obi-Wan is able to give Reva that same gift when she says, "Have I become him?" And like that moment doesn't happen without what happened during their battle. So yeah, I don't think it's that he's always believed in redemption for her. I think it's that once he learned, Obi-Wan, once he was able to learn his lessons about letting go and choosing to be something else and choosing to move beyond the past, and to become something different. Because I do think now Obi-Wan is going, what he's saying to Reva, when he's saying like, you can like choose now to be what you become, like he's talking about himself also, because then he says like, you are free, we both are. And so they're both going off in their separate ways and figuring out what that is. And just like about her character and possible phases for her, can we just talk about how this is one of, if not the most interesting news character in Star Wars we've like had in so long because it's just, I see her story in 3 parts and we're just in the first part, and you have to like, there are so many questions to ask about Reva, and it's like what was it, like the emotional trauma that this woman has been through, in terms of like, you have been in this horrific traumatic environment because you want to kill this man to try and get justice, but you have to compromise so many of your like morals and the things that you believed in, the amount of Jedi that she's probably seen killed, the amount of kids that she's seen killed, and the amount like how she has to keep justifying in her head over and over and over again to be able to like keep going down this path so she can get justice for her friends. And then at the end to be able to like have that culmination of have I become him, and now to be like, now you can choose to be something different. It's like next phases for her. What does she become different? How does she reconcile the fact that like she was an inquisitor for 10 years, or how we don't know exactly like, when she did. I mean, yeah, but
that's
like
the logical one, right?
That's the physical plot point. There's an entire emotional arc that this character is going to have to go through.
Yeah,
because of all of her trauma and all the things that she's been through and has to compromise. And that's why I think she's like one of the most exciting characters that you don't give us a character like this if you're not going to be planning on showing us more down the road.
And
it's like she's been redeemed, or has she been redeemed? Because she always fully evil.
Right.
Now, how is she atoning for her sins? How is she moving down? Can't pitch a clap. Where's Malik?
Where is Malik? Yeah.
And Ben is now like he's selling the Lars new vaporators after like their fight with Reva. But yeah, so again, I could say more about her because she's perfect and I just want to be her best friend.
She's the classic storyline of the tormented becoming the tormentor. So and it's just very I was afraid she's gonna get second sistered. I was terrified. I'm watching this. They're going to treat her like Trilla, and I will die because I am a Trilla stan.
And here's the thing: she could have been, but the show is directed by Deborah Chow.
Yes,
beautiful. Absolutely.
That made me so happy because everybody in my comments was like, "Oh no, naturally she's going to get unalive through a death, but." What do they call it? Redemption by death or something? I am so sick of that trope. It's the laziest trope ever. So I was ready for this story to go somewhere else. How do you redeem a bad guy? What is the next step, like you said? So, yeah.
I was really worried about that too with the Grand Inquisitor's line 2, revenge does wonders on one's will to live. I was like, okay, so since she's throwing away the idea of revenge, is now she just going to succumb to that wound and they're just going to kill off an amazing character because you can't redeem a character in Star Wars and let them live?
Thank you.
And so I was legitimately worried. I was right there with you. And then like having that just huge emotional conversation and now this open book for the future, that was
beautiful.
This was this moment was kind of like a visual cue that juxtaposes Kenobi's interaction with Nari in the beginning, where it is a Jedi who is looking for help, and Kenobi is like, "Forget about it. We've lost.
Oh my God!
Go away." And I mean, like,
literally.
That's what.
Get the fuck out of here! You are compromising everything I am trying to do here.
And then you go to this where
I'm already hiding here. Go find your own hiding spot.
And then you get to this moment where there was a youngling that is looking for help. Basically, it's the same call for cry for attention, cry for help. And at this point in the story, Obi-Wan is willing to give it.
A good point. That's a beautiful juxtapose. Yeah.
And just, I mean, going back to the original question, Obi-Wan, I think he just left her to die. Like he knew what he was doing when he manipulated I guess Reva on the planet. Like I don't think he thought she was going to make it after that. That's why Vader was like, Obi-Wan was wise to use you against me. And I loved that moment, but like, no, he wasn't thinking about her not at that moment. It was all Leia, and which I actually like because it's the priorities. It's like, listen, I will save her. If I can save you, cool. But after his whole arc, then him being free, just like Camila said, him being freed of that past allowed him to give her the gift of freedom from her troubled past and let her know that she's honoring her friends that she lost by making the right choice.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that Obi-Wan witnessed Anakin's massacre at Revenge, and she was part of that group. So there's that layer of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was she in the temple when he came back?
I would have to see. That's where you get the flashbacks. This is where you get more Ewan. You give Reva her own show. You do.
But I don't want another Order 66 flashback. It's traumatizing enough. I'm sorry.
Especially with kids.
But
I don't think so.
Tough. It's
I don't
tough.
think so.
But
Order 6, like the scene with the younglings happened during the night, and they came back, quite a time afterwards.
Yeah.
And a lot of like, just to kind of like push back a little bit, Choco, on that thought with Obi-Wan using Reva, how much of that is your speculation and how much of that is due to the fact that you don't know if that was Reva's plan? If that's what she told Obi-Wan when she let him go?
Well, and we don't know that portion of it, but I mean, him just saying, I'm bringing him to you. Like, you're not bringing him to me, I'm bringing him to you. Like, him just before that saying there are other ways to fight meant this is what he intended.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send them on a collision course, and I don't know that he thought she would survive that collision.
Do we know that, or are you just
no? I'm speculating. That is speculation.
Choco's like, I gotta say this. This is just speculation. Just don't quote me on it.
Because he could have been really confident in her abilities, too. Like, oh, she can take him down. So
he could, but that was Vader, That's sending a car against a freight train, But it could happen. I don't know.
I mean,
ambush, a proper ambush.
I mean, like, how much of it is a manipulation if it was her true intentions to begin with?
Yeah, that's just giving her
because he knows, right?
Framing it. Yeah.
He knows that Reva is hunting him.
She wants him, so giving her what he wants, what she wants.
Yeah, well, I'm in Brandon's camp here that he also knows that there's no way that she would be able to survive Vader. Yeah. Especially not after what he's seen.
Absolutely.
So
also, I'm not saying manipulation in like a menacing
way. Of a Palpatine way.
Yeah.
But just like
in like an accepting. Exactly.
Way.
It's strategic.
Strategic.
And at that point in time, he's still seeing Reva as a threat, as his enemy.
Absolutely.
So it stands to reason that like he probably isn't thinking about redemption at that point, because he just sees this as somebody who's actively trying to kill all of these people. So yeah, but I think for me, with the whole arc with Reva at the end, choice. Everybody kind of touched on it. Yeah. But I think that huge message of choice, and seeing the conclusion of Anakin's choices and how much it cemented him in that path, and to see Reva choose not to go down that path, I think that freedom from that really trickles down too. Like everybody was saying, how she goes on to kind of pass it to other people. But we see that already with her choice not to kill Luke. Now Luke's alive. Now Luke is free himself as well to also really defeat Vader by freeing him as well. It's just this interesting like cascading effect of it all throughout.
And
Oh, yeah.
you can mirror her moment. Did I become him with that brief conversation with Tala on the Inquisitorius? This is never who I was. So that could have
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
It's a nice little mirror
Oh,
reflection.
yeah,
of-
absolutely. Tate, I know you've been sitting
Man.
back. You just
I've been
listening
sitting.
to all the
I've been
philosophy.
going. It's like a
been charging
sponge, and
up.
I'm just soaking it all in. Yeah, I'm ready to go Super Saiyan on the question now. But I mean, I think. I mean, again, I echo a lot of what's been said. I don't really think Obi-Wan quite knew what was going to happen until it was that pivotal moment at the end of the finale where he's with Reva in the sand, and Reva poses him that question, and you can tell it's one of those moments again where in the world of Star Wars, any small decision could change the galaxy forever. But what he had to say in that moment just needed to change her forever. And he said the absolute right thing. He realized it's just, again, the perfect little bow on the arc for Reva and her story and Obi-Wan's story. And they're both kind of running parallel to each other, but they reach the same conclusion. And that's the beauty of it. It's the same kind of character, and they're both all coming together. And I know a lot of facts, but I don't know a lot of lines. But he says something about like how we've both we've both overcome the trauma, or whatever the specific line is. And that truly is in the moments where he looks to Reva as an equal, and he's like, I understand you, and I know what you're going through, and I can offer only what I know to do and what I think of you. And I think it's a really beautiful moment from there. And now, I mean, again, thank heavens she did not get killed off. I mean, gosh, if this was written like 4 years ago, she would have been dead. She would have been dead when Vader stabbed
big
her.
time.
That's just the facts. She would have died right there.
100%.
I hear a lot of comments that really excite me about her potentially being in Jedi Survivor, and I really like that. I like that idea quite a lot. Again, the path is not something that's going to pop up just once, not at all. And I think the name itself is really interesting as well. It's like the path. What does that mean? You know, we think about the people who are involved with the path. You got Roken, who is avenging. I think his partner was killed by the Inquisitorius. Yes. You got Tala, who is in her view, she's trying to make up for her wrongdoings. It's kind of a path to healing in a sense. So Reva being involved with that, obviously she has made the right choice. She's chosen the light in the moment. She's chosen the right thing to do. But for herself, just as this was very much Obi-Wan's story about his own self-healing and coming to terms, I think that could be a great vessel for Reva's character, be it in a game, a show, a book, a novel, whatever. I do hope, though, it is something with a lot of exposure, because Reva as a character deserves to be seen on the global stage.
Moses Ingram is amazing. Bring
God,
live action. Bring live action.
She's an absolute superstar.
Absolutely.
I also think that the moment with Reva and Obi-Wan kind of is a precursor or a preface to Twin Sons.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. The way he
look what I've risen above.
Yeah. Look what you've risen above. Yeah. Char.
Yeah, and speaking of what Tate said about coming to terms with your character, after Obi-Wan has his little conversation with Reva, we see Mustafar. We see Vader's castle once again, and as many people theorized, we did get a Palpatine scene, and Ian looked really good. Ian looked amazing in prequel era going into original trilogy Palpatine. And we've never seen that before in live action. So that was a really cool moment. And Palpatine and Vader talk about, because he's still interested in catching Kenobi. He wants Kenobi so bad. And Palpatine's like, you seem agitated. And he's it's cool how he talks, because at the beginning he sounds like Chancellor Palpatine. But that last question saying that if your past cannot be overcome, the Sidious comes out in him, which leads me to my question. How does Vader's conversation with Palpatine complete his transformation into Lord Vader? How does it add to the arc of Vader's life and eventually his redemption?
Tate?
It's a good question. Correct me if I'm wrong, JJ. I think you mentioned this, but I could be wrong. But it happens several times where Vader turns into Lord Vader. You know, if you're going to go full canon junkie on it, it's happened in like 100 different comics and a couple different books. That's because Palpatine's really good at reining him in. Every time, it's like a dog on a leash, like a real angry dog. The dog will get angry, but eventually you rein him in, you keep him under control. And Palpatine really understands that the one thing that can crack Anakin is his emotions and his connection to people, which is eventually what happens with Luke. So him encouraging Vader to forget about Obi-Wan. Don't see Obi-Wan as your old master anymore. See him as your adversary, if you're going to see him. Because we do get that acknowledgement in Rebels where Vader's still kind of like, Obi-Wan could be out there. And Palpatine's like, yeah, I guess, whatever. Here's a cookie. Go do something. So the idea of severing those emotional ties, cutting out that light that other people bring to yourself to fully embrace the dark and that moniker that he's established, that for me, again, this is really, I know Hayden described it in a couple of interviews for the series where he's like, at this point, he's not really like the Vader we know, but he is Vader. This was that moment. This was the moment where he's like, yep, Anakin's completely gone. This is Darth Vader. This is the guy who's going to go Rogue One a couple people in 9 years' time. This is Vader.
Obi-Wan and Sidious are basically two sides of the same coin for Anakin at that point. Yep. One is absolutely pulling in one way, and the other one just comes in. Nope, we got to reel you back in, because if I don't, if I let you do your little side project, as someone called it, he's going to lose him.
Exactly. I actually think he never truly completes his transformation, because the conflict has always been there. I mean, we see it like Tate mentions it. We see it in 2015, 2017, and 2020. Vader has always had his own agenda. He's always been, like the dog that chases after the car with Afra, with Luke, with all of the things that he sets his mind to. He always has to be whipped back into line by Palpatine. And like, I feel like the last straw was in 2020 when he got whopped on the Verminoth, and that's when he was truly, I must obey my master. So I mean, I think I don't, and that's when Luke came in Return of the Jedi and redeemed him. So I don't think he truly ever completely 100% transformed into Vader.
I love that take.
It's interesting. And it's interesting that neither Ahsoka or Obi-Wan were able to kind of lure him back to their own side. It was because they knew him basically their entire life. He takes his son, who has never experienced him as good Anakin, for him to let him in and free him from his shackles. So,
Beth?
I was going to say, it's fascinating. This gets back to kind of like the whole unreliable narrator thing. And it's like, why obviously we know that Obi-Wan or anybody with a connection to his past does tend to bring out the Anakin in him, and it's like, why is he still so subconsciously driven to seek out Obi-Wan? That was my first thought when I saw that scene. And it's when he's like it was really interesting too. It's a good parallel too, because like Kenobi is all that matters to Kenobi means nothing to me, means nothing now at the beginning, from the beginning then. And it's like but it's interesting because when he says that, it's like, is he really addressing Sidious, or is he really like addressing Anakin?
Or himself,
yeah, it's, you have this like crazy, and because you can't ever see his face, it just adds like this whole other layer to his character that I think is absolutely fascinating. So I completely agree that he never fully embraces the whole Vader thing, if you will. But it's, I love that aspect of it, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating. And also, I saw someone's comment, he only calls him Obi-Wan like directly to his face. He calls him Kenobi to everyone else throughout the show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
It keeps with because I'm pretty sure during A New Hope he says Kenobi is here. He doesn't call him Obi-Wan except until to his face. Correct? Am I correct on that?
Obi-Wan never told you that that's an Empire.
Oh, Obi-Wan. Okay, that's the other time.
I believe
Kenobi is
when
here
it's
and the Force is with him.
Yeah.
It's also true with Luke.
I'm also pretty sure in A New Hope, Vader doesn't even say the word Kenobi. I think Tarkin is the only one that says it.
No, Obi-Wan is here in the Force.
In terms of like the villains.
No, you're right, because he said doesn't he say he's here, or I can send some presents?
Here.
Yeah, he says
He's here, the presence of my old master. Your power is weak, old man. And name drops. You're right. That's interesting. Very interesting. Oh no, wait! I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan.
Oh,
only directly to his face.
But directly to his face. So that's a good parallel. Camila.
Wait, Brandon, say what you're gonna say.
No, you go ahead.
Are you sure?
Always respect the host.
Oh, okay. What were we talking about? Retweet everybody.
Well, in that case, Brandon, go ahead and take away.
No, I think what I was gonna say, in terms of like his conversation with Palpatine, yes, I don't think he's ever. No one's ever fully gone. So Anakin is never like fully gone. I know. So, and I think I take the conversation with Palpatine to be him, like when Palpatine sees like the way that Vader's talking about Obi-Wan, he's like sensing, yo, like you are actually like really connected to this dude, like you are like, this is your weakness, man. And you see like in the shot, Vader sits back, and it's like this sense of like trying to distance himself. And I think what he's saying is he's trying to hide, he's like doing his best to try and bury like Anakin and bury the truth and like hide it from Palpatine, that like, yes, he actually does still care about Obi-Wan, and he's trying to hide that and trying to put like Anakin deeper into the prison of Darth Vader. And so he's like, I think he's trying to lie to himself, but then he's lying to Palpatine, but also trying to like lie to himself. And then in doing that, then he can like keep himself further buried into his anger and his rage to keep fueling. Like he's not able to fully accept. That's not what I was going to say. I don't know what I was going to say anymore. I feel like I lost my. How does it add to the arc of Vader's life and later redemption? I'm going to switch this like part of the question. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, Anakin isn't gone because no one's ever fully gone. And if Anakin was fully gone, then Luke isn't able to get through, and Anakin isn't able to come back.
Yep.
And I'm forgetting who it was that said this, but the fact that like neither Ahsoka nor Obi-Wan could break through fully to Anakin, it's only his son. Yep. And his son being the embodiment of the one person who from the beginning always knew that there is and always will be good in him, his mother, Padme Amidala. Of course, I had to drop Padme mention.
That's how you. If you had that on your bingo card, bingo. Brandon, sorry, I cut you off, but I
No, that's fine. I've been talking too much as it is, so I apologize. But this has been a that I wonder. It's said in Return of the Jedi too. So when Palpatine tells Vader, "Go wait on the transport," Vader comes back in unprompted to Palpatine. And Palpatine's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" Like, I said, wait in the car. And in that moment, Vader is like, a small transport has landed on the Endor moon. And this is the first time he says this. He says, "My son is with them." Now, in Empire Strikes Back, Palpatine is like, "Oh, I think he might be the offspring of Anakin Skywalker. How is this possible? Who's Anakin Skywalker? I'm a different person." You know what I mean? Like he was trying to keep that divider wall up. But in this one, he's like, "My son is with them." And then that's when Palpatine says, "I wonder if your feelings on this matter are clear, Lord Vader." Yeah. This is this. So it's a callback to that scene. And I think without Palpatine constantly reining him in, he might have found redemption or something more akin to it a lot sooner. And that's what we see throughout all of these comics. I mean, the 2020 run specifically, if it starts with him trying to find out what happened to Padme, and that's it's always Anakin, and he's always looking away and never paying attention to here and now what he's supposed to be doing. And if you left him to his own devices, he would go down those rabbit holes. He would keep looking for Kenobi. He would keep looking for Padme and trying to bring her back. And so, yeah, he's Palpatine is like, come on. Like,
well, part of his strategy and grooming his entire life has been isolation of Anakin. So the moment he feels he's sort of steps out of bounds or out of line, he's there to reel him back in. So isolation has always been the key to Sidious's plans. So as long as he kept him away.
Cal?
So in
He was weak.
summation, fully agree with Pep. He's always been Anakin,
Yes.
and Palpatine has to keep him on track.
And I
Totally
love the
right.
fact that Brandon, after the stream, like towards the end of the stream the other night, goes, "Hey, Char, they're the same person, right?" And I loved that he called Char out on that. Just my little 2 cents on that. But Cal,
I love you, Char.
Hey, my little fun and game was short-lived. It's okay.
Cal,
I love you too.
I mean, honestly, a lot of my thoughts kind of hover around a very similar space here too, because I think that, like Pep saying, Anakin's never gone. Like the concept of Vader is just Anakin masking, truly, and he's committed to it, and he sees Vader as this strong, powerful Sith Lord that he is, and I think that scene with Palpatine is Palpatine really having that fine-tuned perspective on Anakin, and he knows that Anakin does not ever want to be perceived as weak, and so he pulls that string and goes, "Oh, so you're like, this might make you weak if your feelings still keep going down this route," and immediately you just see him being like, "Nope, Kenobi means nothing."
yeah,
Because
Doesn't
he's so
appeal you.
committed. Exactly, he's so committed to the mask that is Vader that he cannot see himself as being perceived as weak, and so having that thread pulled by Palpatine, he just knows how to pull his strings, and that's why he really emphasizes it being part of Anakin's weakness at that point, which is why he uses that as fire against Obi-Wan too.
Yeah.
Adding to what you just said about that, it adds more weight to the end of Return of the Jedi when he says, "Let me look upon you with my own eyes."
Yeah.
Oh God, that
Exactly.
line. Holy crap.
Also,
is that like a reference to toxic masculinity as well? Because
Yes.
well, Anakin's like, I just want to spend time with my family, and then Palpatine's like, sounds
Who
like a
needs
woman.
him?
And he's like, no, never mind. Let's go.
Yeah. Char, take the. I think
I
this is a
will,
perfect
yes.
segue from
we're
one character
the time
talking
is
to a master.
we're almost hitting the 2-hour mark, so yeah, we got 2 more questions up for you guys, and obviously we're gonna dive into the very last moment of the episode with a good old buddy named Liam Neeson coming into the scene that shocked, I think, everybody. I don't think if you were somewhat emotional about that scene, I mean, I don't know who you are, but man, but
You have no soul.
Seriously.
yes, but what emotions do you think went through Obi-Wan's head when he finally saw Qui-Gon for the first time?
I'll answer quickly. He was just like, "Really?"
You long enough.
Obi-Wan literally gets roasted by everyone in this show. And
Yes!
And it's funny because he's used to roasting everybody.
Also, literally.
He was almost excited as he was to see Dexter Jettster.
Oh, buddy!
Obi-Wan, what do you know? Would it be a Pod1's podcast if I didn't bring in Dexter Jettster? Thank you, Choco. But anyway, sorry.
I mean, you can't stop Dexter, man. You can't stop
It's
Dexter.
amazing.
No,
And
yeah.
He just looked so calm, like he was expecting him almost. Like, yeah, I'm finally free of whatever was taunting me this entire time to reconnect back with you to Zoom call. And he was like, "Oh yeah, finally you made it." I thought it was perfect. You know,
I guess the Wi-Fi strength is best when they're outside of Beggar's Canyon. So.
yeah.
I would say that if I had one word to describe it, I would say clarity. I think Obi-Wan, we've spoken so much about how the light is a constant, the light and dark is both constant choices and active decisions to choose the light. And Obi-Wan's gone on this whole journey, and he's self-healed, he's made his decisions, and I feel like he's definitely made peace with it. He's laughing, he's having a good time, and he's found himself. But I think seeing Qui-Gon at the end there for him is like, all right, I'm on
This
that
is the
path.
path.
I'm good.
I'm on the right.
Especially that
place,
line where he's like, "I've always been there. You just weren't able to see me." Now he's like, I know what I'm doing is right now. I'm good. I'm great to go forward. Which again, perfect way to wrap it all up. That is one hell of a finale. I'll tell you that.
Go Cal.
I want to chime in on that just because that's exactly where my head was at with it as well. Was every time we see Kenobi, like through the first few episodes, we get so many still shots of him staring, like giving the 1,000-yard stare as he's reliving a lot of his past trauma and memories and stuff like that. He's so absorbed in the past and clouded by it that this is the first moment that he's actually been free and able to see what's ahead and think of the future and not just, you know, his failures. He needs to try and reach out to his old master and stuff like that. He's finally at the point where the fog's lifted and Qui-Gon's been there the whole time. So I feel like the sense of relief he must also have at that moment too is huge.
Very powerful.
And he's only able to reconnect with him once he lets go of literally everything, of Anakin, of the children, of literally all the material kind of, I don't know how to put it, of all of that, and that's how
the material trauma. Yeah, the material attachments. Yeah, Choco.
Thank you.
Which goes along with what Qui-Gon was always talking about in The Phantom Menace, the living force. You know, think of the future, but not at the expense of the moment. And it even feels like Obi-Wan understands now. I don't have to force him into training. When the time comes, it'll happen. The force will bring him to me. And once he's able to let go of everything and be present, be here, be now, then he can see Qui-Gon. I just think that's my reading on it.
Just like Pat said, don't center. No, put that back up. I wasn't done with that.
Don't acknowledging Cal.
Don't center on your anxieties, Obi-Wan. Keep your focus on the here and now, where it belongs. And that is a perfect.
Not at the expense of the moment.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember the line from either episode 2 or 3 where he's talking about?
That's literally what my point. When your eyes are closed, can you truly see the way? Is that the line?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's referred to my journal. And yeah, no, that's literally what I was going to say, JJ. That like, I've been thinking about that line and like, what does that line mean? Why is it so significant? Why is that what's been pointed out? And our conversation about this is when it's like clicked in my mind is that when you close your eyes, what does it mean to close your eyes? It means that you are like trusting everything around you. It means that you're trusting what's going on and you're putting your trust into something else when you like lose this sense. And so it's like losing the eyes, trusting in the force and like that symbolism. And Obi-Wan is able to see Qui-Gon finally to see the way forward beyond this by forgetting the past, not forgetting the past, but by letting go of the past and moving beyond it, because he's finally closed his eyes and symbolically and is able to like trust fully in the force, and that light has finally come back. So now he can move forward and see Qui-Gon and see the way.
Perfect.
I just want to take a quick shout out to say what's up, Jedi Master DePaul.
Thanks for tuning in. If y'all missed, he hosted a great stream from what I'm being told.
Yes.
With Kiki and some other awesome creators. I'm sorry. But they did a deep dive on Reva's character, and please go I know we started around the same time. Please go check out that. That's very, very important. And it's for people that are not media literate, that don't understand. Go take some notes. Go learn something new, because you definitely will learn something new in that stream. Beth, or Element.
I just wanted to say a quote that proves that Yoda is the best. And that all of these lessons are things he taught, yet his students never really truly understood until their breaking point, which was the thing that he says to Luke in Empire, and then he says again to him in The Last Jedi: always to the horizon, to the future, never his mind on what he was doing,
where he was.
Excitement, adventure.
Wow, perfect.
Jedi need to stop.
Jedi
these
craves
things.
these things. Craves not these things.
Beth.
Oh wait, how do I go after Yoda? Yoda's
Yeah.
dropping knowledge on us.
I feel like everybody goes after Yoda just because he's so old.
He's just an old mom crack.
In terms of age, yes.
Oh my gosh! I guess the biggest thing for me when I was watching that scene, at least, it took me back to it's the introduction of like Obi-Wan's character in Revenge of the Sith, where it talks about like he's all these amazing things, but inside he still feels like a Padawan, and like his self-doubt and imposter syndrome about like how incredible he actually is, as we all know, as we're all here to appreciate. But it also and then that obviously ties into the beginning of the show with this like whole master Padawan like dynamic, if you will.
Yes.
Because he's continually calling out for Qui-Gon in these very vulnerable moments when he's like, Master, help me.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because it's almost like he finally has this moment of self-actualization where he views himself actually more as an equal, as opposed to like needing somebody to lead him and to guide him. He trusts himself in that moment. And that's really like the moment where he comes into himself and he's like, okay, I know that I'm doing what's right for me. This is great. And then Qui-Gon appears. So that's
Absolutely.
what
Absolutely. Well, guys, this was such a awesome conversation. I want to thank everybody in the panel, in the chat. This show was personally everything I wanted. And now it's hitting me like a
Like the rocks.
It's hitting me. It's hitting
like Obi-Wan's rocks.
Oh God, freezing.
It's over.
Until August. And
yeah, well, these characters were so important to me, and to have this show do so well and tell a story so important. I'd be remiss not to thank all of Lucasfilm, the crew, the cast, the writers who get shit on for no reason, the Deborah Chow for doing such an amazing job. But I will leave you with one last question, and you guys can answer it and give us your socials where we can find you. This is closing of an era, in a way. How does this series give us a final goodbye to the prequels and Obi-Wan? Don't be shy. We gotta end the show. I know we want to keep going.
to do all that is necessary.
I think when I first heard the idea of the show, I was very, ostrich putting its head in the sand. I was like, Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine, sacrilege, wrong, no, I don't know. I was like, I was so on the fence. And friends were like, oh, no, it's like a prequel reunion show. So going into it, I'm like, it's either going to be the prequel reunion PowerPoint presentations, shall I say, or it's going to be, a story. And coming out of this show now, after it being here for the past 5 weeks, watching it all, I genuinely view it as an essential piece of Star Wars. As in, if you're going to watch, just the movies, no, you need to watch just the movies and the Obi-Wan series. It is episode 3.5 as much as it is the Obi-Wan show. I think by lightning in a bottle, it managed to so gracefully bridge the gap between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, whilst also giving all these characters their own moments to shine, their own beats, their own motive, their own agenda, and treating them with such grace and respect that I really think if we never see these characters again with these actors coming back, you sent them off perfectly anyway. It was everything I could have ever dreamed the show to be and more. And if it wasn't for the fact that Rogue One is the greatest piece of media in the history of filmmaking, where is it? There we go. Yeah, this would be my favorite Star Wars project, hands down. I truly think this is, for lack of better terms, this is Star Wars as envisioned as this mythic, grand, beautiful, emotional story, and it's incredible. This is Star Wars.
And where can we find you?
Oh yeah, but that part for sure. Again, very close attention to the fact that there's no S Star Wars Fact Guy on TikTok and Star Wars Fact Guy on Instagram. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. The absolute amazing discussion and just discourse going on with such amazing people. I'm truly grateful. You guys are the light in this fandom. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the way this show is a final goodbye to the prequels and the Obi-Wan is how much it is about everything else. As much as it is about his journey and the in-between of these movies, it is about Leia. It is about Rey. It is about the future and letting go and seeing where you go from there. And kind of putting a focusing lens on where you go from this moment. And so the show itself internally is about Obi-Wan's journey, but the show, it kind of puts its best foot forward to tell you, but it's also about Leia and where she goes from here. It's about Reva, and it's about, you know, Rey and looking at the stories that it's going to dovetail into from here, like the path. And so it was a memorable look into a favorite nostalgia that we had within ourselves, but it also prepares us for what's to come in the stories that have nothing to do with the prequels.
Yeah. Where can we find you, Element?
Element7 on TikTok, Twitter, extra_ at the end for Instagram, youtube.com/Dyad in the Force every Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking about this again tomorrow, but also added on top of that, Andor. So tune in tomorrow.
Yep. Who's next?
I suppose I should go for Dyad purposes. But yeah, it is a wonderful goodbye because it so beautifully connects the two. And I have to say, I mean, I apologize to Cal and Tate, but Rogue One is not my favorite Star Wars project, and I feel like I feel like this is what I'm going to watch into A New Hope. And I think it bridges even some of the questions I had in A New Hope, things that didn't quite match up. This kind of spread over, you know, how come Leia didn't mourn the loss of Alderaan and she was too busy taking care of Luke? Well, even when she was a child, when something bad was going on, she tried to comfort others. She's always done this. It's so beautifully set up our characters for who they were, are Luke and Leia for who they're going to be in the future. And it showed us, you know, I think a lot of people had a hard time bridging the gap between the Anakin that they knew from the prequels and the Clone Wars to Darth Vader 20 years in the future. And this showed us that gap. And it was beautifully done. Again, I'm Darthchoco on TikTok, Darthchoco on YouTube, Darthchoco7 on Twitter, Darth.choco on Instagram, the High Ground Podcast, Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Also, hang out with us tomorrow and Dyad in the Force at 5 p.m. And I think we're going to go back into having some book club things, because in preparation for Andor, I would love to get a group of us together to read Catalyst.
Yes.
Catalyst
You
is
got
amazing.
me. You got me. I love that freaking book.
And then hopefully Rebel Rising. If we can all get through
Yes. That's a good book.
So yeah, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah. Who's next?
I guess I'll go.
Okay,
as much as this is a prelude to New Hope and contextualizes so much of New Hope, it's a love letter to the prequel era and to the fans of that era. Seeing both Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor like doing their interviews, seeing them on red carpet, this was a validation that I've been looking for a long time as a fan, that I felt was sort of rejected for such a long time. So to me, this is a love letter, absolutely, to the Revenge of the Sith and Attack and Phantom Menace. And so, and I am happy with what we got. We don't need more, but I want more, and I know I shouldn't. So if we never get anything again, I'll be happy. If we do, great. It's just it's perfect, and I don't like to use the word perfect often. I don't want to water it down, but
Well,
to
it
me, this
had
is
to be
perfect.
perfect.
It had to be. And everything I thought that we were gonna see was wrong, and I'm happy that I was wrong. So,
JJ, where can we
Yes.
follow you?
I make content on TikTok under CatladyJJ, and I'm on Twitter, CatladyJJ, and Instagram, CatladyJJ37. They wouldn't let me have it without 37. So, but yeah, TikTok is the main place where I make nerdy content. So, thanks for having me. I'm sorry.
If you wanted it without the 37, you should have used an underscore.
Why didn't I think of
Or
that?
double underscore.
Oh man, now I feel dumb. So yeah, thank you for including me and having me. I'm really humbled, and I'm
absolutely
very happy to see all of your faces and talk to you guys.
Thank you for coming on, JJ.
Anytime.
Cal.
Oh, honestly, like so many of the sentiments here, I completely agree with. I love that this show was really connected to so much that is Star Wars, as well as so much that is the Star Wars community as well.
Mm.
And I guess I'll kind of just put it at the last sentence I have in my notes, which the whole reason why I took notes is because look at this lineup of people you have here. Like everybody here is like S tier, like content creators to me, and like inspire me to just be a better fan of something as well. Which is why I like rewatched it today and took like almost 3 pages of notes and everything went completely crazy with it. But the last thing I put was seriously the prequel kid in me was given a treat here. Because while the original trilogy was the first Star Wars I watched, the prequel trilogy is what I watched in theaters. It's when I became like the diehard fan that I am today. It's when I like first had a favorite character in Star Wars, and to get to see that character come back, it's candy for me at this point. It's something that, after Revenge of the Sith, everything that's come out since, I was never expecting. So everything I'm always super ecstatic about, but this just felt like just such a special treat as well. So yeah, it's great.
Where can the people follow you for your awesome content?
I mean, primarily Twitch at Calforrer there as well. But I am starting to dip my toes into the TikTok world. So hopefully there too more. It's the plan.
Awesome. Camila?
Yeah, so I think there's something, what's beautiful about this show and what's beautiful about Star Wars as a whole is that it changes for people based on your entry points. And so Obi-Wan Kenobi is a goodbye, I think, for a lot of us, and a lot of us who grew up with the prequels, and got to see like the entry point. For some folks, their entry point for Obi-Wan is A New Hope. Some folks, their entry point for Obi-Wan is The Phantom Menace. And this for me personally, it doesn't feel like it has to be a full goodbye. It feels like it's the end of an era, but as I'm thinking about it more, I do think there are more stories you can tell with Obi-Wan, because you're still left with questions. The show still, if there are still questions to be answered, you can still answer them well. And I will always point back to the fact that we all thought Toy Story was perfectly wrapped up in Toy Story 3. And then Pixar said, bet, and gave us Toy Story 4 and gave us more beautiful stories. So,
and Forky.
And Forky, exactly. Justice for Forky.
Yeah.
He's not trash. But yeah, so I think there are more stories you can tell with Obi-Wan. I think that Obi-Wan's not at a point where he's like, he doesn't have to, he tells Owen, I know Luke, we were talking about this, like he's talking to Owen that you protect you. Luke has who he needs, you and Beru. I don't need to be like hovering here anymore. Okay, what is Obi-Wan going to do now? Obviously he's going to be training with Qui-Gon, but like is there a world where Obi-Wan leaves planet again and helps out with the path in a way? Is there like what do the next 9 years of his life look like? You know, there are questions there. It's an entry point for Reva. It's an entry point for Haja. It's an entry point for Roken. It's an entry point for Leia in a way. So I think that yes, it can be a goodbye to a chapter, but at the same time, I think it's a beautiful beginning for a lot of these new characters that we got, but then also a new point in Obi-Wan's life. And I think that there are stories that you can still tell. And I would love to see more Ewan McGregor. So I'm never going to say no. If they do it well, they're going to do it great. I'll be all sitting here praising Toy Story 4.
Daddy Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Exactly. Where can you find me? A couple places. TikTok at Boricuawookie. And then check out my Star Wars narrative podcast, Beings of the Galaxy. Tells the stories of the people in the background and how they're the heroes of their own stories. And that's a couple places wherever pods are cast. On Instagram at Beings of the Galaxy Pod. And on Twitter now, Beings_podcast.
Yeah, Camila, beautifully said. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's not a goodbye. It's a see you later. So,
Beth, I left you for last.
I'm gonna start crying.
You don't
I'm
think
literally
I'm
gonna start
not?
crying. Okay.
You don't think I'm not?
Aw.
This show was so important. I think I'm gonna start crying, literally crying. Not just the character of Obi-Wan and not just obviously like all the prequel lovers, but I think a lot of us have seen different aspects of ourselves in that character and have been in similar situations where you were at like the lowest point of your life and you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna get from here to here. And watching somebody go through that and seeing that process is so inspiring and so important. And that's hope is one of the main messages of Star Wars. And resilience is also one of the main messages of Star Wars. And this show was so important to me personally to see that, not only because I was like a prequels kid and obviously Obi-Wan's been my favorite character, but just to watch a character who has been like built up into this like iconic, monolith of a character actually be a human being and take that journey. It was so important and so special. And I think we really haven't seen that in Star Wars before. And I don't think we'll see it again. And I don't think we should, because this is an extremely special situation. But this show has just been everything to me. And especially, I'm gonna start crying again. The connections that this show has like made across the fandom. I cannot tell you how many new amazing people I've met just because of our love of this like character and our excitement over this show, and how existing friendships have like deepened and strengthened, and just all of the discourse and dialogue, and I'm just so grateful. I think that's the biggest thing. Just so grateful.
I just want to say thank you for doing all the work for the last 90 days, the emotional labor. I seriously, sometimes algorithm would trick me. Your videos wouldn't show up. Like I have to seek you out like a total stalker to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I just want to really appreciate all the work you did, the research, the annotations, the book, all of it. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Beth.
Oh my God, no.
No one has prepared us for Kenobi more than you. So thank you.
I always liked the character. I love the character.
Like every time the video pops up, I do the intro as well. Do like the hand movements, the sad. It's the full vibe. You gotta do it
every single day until the show comes out.
Love it.
It's iconic now.
Today we have Labyrinth of Evil.
That book is hard.
Oh man, it's such a great one. They're so good.
Yep, that's comment right there.
Subtitle.
My pleasure. It was my
subtitle. Grievous, can you come pick me up?
Literally. So yeah, thank you guys. This has just been such a wonderful experience, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Let me follow you.
You can find me at Mara.j.Skywalker on the TikTok, which is where I primarily make content. Even though I can't ever think of myself as a content creator. That just, I'm like, okay, I need to. For some reason, that just makes me laugh. And then on Twitter at Mara_J Skywalker.
Now I have to change it. Damn it.
I feel like
Change
you've
it.
I will. Yes, Brooke. Thank you to Alanis for writing such hard-hitting questions. She does a fantastic job. She loves Obi-Wan as much as anybody else here.
Yeah.
So this show means a lot to everybody.
Yes.
Char, I will leave my last stuff after you. So, answer the question, where can the good people follow you?
Yeah, I mean, going off of what Camila said too, it's not a goodbye, it's a see you later. I mean, we'll see Hayden Christensen again in Ahsoka.
So good.
There'll always be prequel elements. Like we'll be seeing prequel elements in Andor, but I think Ewan McGregor will have to take a rest for now, and one day he'll be back. And I don't know if it'll be in a few years or whatnot, but I hope we see some of these characters in the show in Jedi Survivor. I am praying it'll most likely happen. Just praying for a Cal and Reva duo.
Yes.
That would be beautiful. And
yes.
And I'm just so excited to see the future of Star Wars from after this, because this was a gem that we all were fortunate enough to get. So
Where
that's
can the
my
good people
thoughts.
follow you?
Yes, you can find me on TikTok at CharCharJ, as seen right here. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the exact same handle as right here. And you can find me at the Pod Ones Podcast every Thursday night as we cover our Clone Wars rewatch. Next week, we'll be covering the Ahsoka Leaving the Order arc tier. And then, obviously, you will not be seeing us on Fridays for a while, as today was our last roundtable. So catch us in August.
We might have something planned for Fridays.
Catch us out in the future. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Luke, your thoughts?
Okay. These characters have again meant so much to me. They've brought me all of you.
It's all right, Luke. It's all right.
But maybe we'll see them again. Who knows? But
see you in London.
yeah. But this show has meant a ton to me, and I'm glad, I'm ecstatic with what we got, and I don't think I will ever have this feeling really again, to be honest with you. So you can find us at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter, and at the Pod Ones Pod on Instagram. We might have something in the works, like I just talked about, for the next couple of Fridays. We will keep you updated on that. But that's going to be it for us. Oh, also, sorry, Hereth, where you can find Hereth every Thursday with us. They fly now, which is taking a hiatus as of right now. But you can follow him on Twitter at Hereth_edits. And then Hereth Productions on TikTok and Instagram. But that is it. It took us long enough. For Light and for Life.
We are all the Republic.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.